Okay, the first application on this evening is CPV KSB LLC, P1825.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Robert Truckman with the firm of Archer and Ryan representing the applicant for CPV in connection with the application that we have before you this evening. Mr. Chairman, we have a number of witnesses here who may be testifying in connection with the application. I have provided a list of who those individuals would be. Would you like to have them identified and sworn in advance, or as we go along with?
Do it one at a time.
Okay.
Let's do it this way. We have to do it one case at a time. We say you have two application numbers. So with respect to application 1825, and ask you to stipulate and move into evidence the following professional reports generated by the Township of Woodbridge. Planning report by Big Mill Planning dated July 24, 2018. The engineering report of Remington and Burnick dated August 1, 2018. The fire report July 1, 2018. The police report June 27, 2018. The TRC memo dated July 30, 2018. Redevelopment resolution dated June 13, 2017. And I ask that you agree to make those reports part of the record, reserving your right to be heard with respect to things you agree to, don't agree to, or wish to be heard on. Is that acceptable?
That is acceptable, and I know, Mr. O'Rourke, we actually have point-by-point responses available this evening. We've gotten to the professionals. They were not filed 10 days before, but we have them available for the board members, which indicates, again,
How long is it?
acceptable.
How long is it?
Their length basically reincorporates the document. What I'd like to do is just provide to the board members tonight as exhibits, and we'll actually have that in here.
Well, the problem is, if you give it to the board, you have to give it to the public, because the public hasn't had an opportunity to see it 10 days in advance of the meeting. So you don't want to give the board members things that you didn't give the public. So if you want to hand the members of the public, hand the members of the board that, you must make it available over there to all these people.
We have extra copies for the members of the public as well, if that's acceptable, or we can simply stipulate that we will be submitting them subsequent to.
I think that's the better approach.
Okay, and that's fine.
Now, professional staff has already reviewed it, they've had it, they'll make comments on it during the hearing.
That's fine.
Some of them don't require testimony, most of them are technical in nature anyway.
That is correct. And basically, for the most part, I can stipulate that we had no problem with the comments. There were items where they asked for additional information, and provided that information.
But you agree, however, the applicant agrees to comply with all the terms and conditions contained in the reports we just made a part of the record and into evidence?
That is correct. And again, in the matter that we testified to, we'll testify to, and we'll also specifically respond to it right.
All right, thank you, I understand.
Okay. The individuals here this evening, we'll have them sworn as we go along, and the other thing, Mr. O'Rourke, what I can do with the exhibits we have will be utilized for all the applications. I can have them identified with the record up front. We actually have extra copies of those for the board members.
Are they part of the plans?
They are not. They are
They
additional.
need to be marked, and they need to be moved in a spot where they don't block members of the public
Okay.
from seeing what is going on.
Okay.
I.e., that vertical one probably needs to be moved to the end.
All right. That's my.
Which is
keep
first,
advantage
second, and
here,
third?
too. Well, let me identify what they are. We have their basically in order of the exhibit list that we provide for the secretary. First, we have what we're, if the designation's okay, we will call this A1. It would be the deposit exhibit aerial exhibit there. We were asked to provide a plan to keep all the plan sheets to an area. And that's what this does. We're asked by the plan director. That's A1. A1 would be that.
Just today, somebody could just mark right on
Yeah,
there.
we actually have password. Okay,
A1's far left. The other aerial in the middle is A2.
No. Yeah, it's over there. I'm sorry. Let's shift that around. This should be go away. This is A1 here. And that is a composite exhibit, the arrow that we're asked to provide. It shows where the plans match up to the actual site itself.
Now we can't get the legs off.
Okay, we can just change it over, put it over there. That's fine.
It's right over it.
It's right over it. A2 is a true speed rendering of the Keys Energy Center and the Woodbridge Energy Center.
Okay. Okay, A3 is the one all the way left.
A3 is all the way left, which is the aerial subdivision overlay, which shows the subdivision that we're applying for this evening over the land area.
Before we continue.
Yes, sir.
We have to close those blinds, so all I see is glare from the sun. On that third.
And we can move these wherever.
Just tilt.
That better, Chair?
Good.
That's gotta get.
Do that, and they're all fine. We have the other two exhibits here that the public can see. We have also two more exhibits. One would be an aerial site plan overlay of the Woodbridge Energy Center.
One on this side, less people over here.
Over here, guys. Let's go over here. While you're setting up, Alex, why don't you just show A4 just so we can identify the application. Show the board A4, public A4. We thought we had this right here, of course, we apologize for having it.
And this is A4, right?
A4. A4 is the aerial site plan overlay showing the Woodbridge Energy Center, which we'll talk about in a moment.
You know what, you don't have to put them all up at the same time.
We're just identifying, so yeah, just identify.
Put them up when you.
That's fine, you can just lean against a chair here if you want to do it as well. And then A5 is the aerial site plan overlay that shows the Keysby Energy Center improvements added to that. So why don't we just lean against a chair if that's
You want to give us a brief,
I certainly will.
you don't, you know, you don't have to.
I think it's important just to kind of bring the history together where we are. This application involves the property, just many board members familiar with. The Woodbridge Energy Center project was approved by this board in 2013. There are basically three approvals that we're looking for this evening. The overall development involves blocks 100, 102, two lots on Riverside Drive and Block 93. It's located in the EPIC redevelopment area, and it's subject to the EPIC redevelopment plan. Public access to the river requirements and the overall requirements for the development. The goals of the plan include addressing the public access requirements, providing for electric generation facilities, and rehabilitation for redeveloping brownfield properties. The property itself is the old EPIC polymer site. And if you recall, and you may know generally, as part of an overall remediation of this site, a slurry wall and a series of environmental remediation measures are put into place. As actual part of the cleanup of that site, the development of this site, the encapsulation and the pump and treat of the water in that property was made part of the development approval. So the DEP environmental approvals for this involved actually working to make this part of the remediation of the property. So it took a blighted brownfield site, an area in need of redevelopment that had been designated by the town, and as part of the actual remediation, a power plant was built there. Also, there's the public access to the waterfront requirements, the park that will ultimately be dedicated to the township. That was done separately by EPIC, as part of their development. What is happening in connection with this project, we are, first of all, taking the property that was part of the original approval, we'll refer to the exhibit all the way down the end here, which is A3, which shows the Woodbridge Energy Center site. Originally, when this board approved the project, there was a second phase that would have been developed to the west of the property. The Woodbridge Energy Center involves the development of this property in Woodbridge. The site, leading the site through Woodbridge, is a generation tie line, an electric transmission line that goes through parts of Woodbridge, through Edison, and into Sayreville, where it now connects to the JCP&L substation in Sayreville. This has provided substantial new electrical power to the area. At the time it was discussed as part of originally Governor Christie's plan to have 3 plants to be built in New Jersey. They were required to enter into contracts with utilities. That apparently was challenged, and so that mandatory requirement of contracting went by the wayside, but this plant is now a merchant plant, and it's providing electricity to the state, to the regions, through that substation, making it more affordable. When the time came to evaluate the expansion of the next phase of this project, it was determined that there's a greater need for electricity in the other region in Edison Township, where the PSE&G McCutcheon substation is located, and the homes that are served by that. So instead of expanding this plant to provide more energy going to the JCP&L substation in Sayreville, a separate power plant has been designed and will be built on a separate lot that will have a transmission line that will go to the PSE&G substation in Edison. It does not go through Sayreville because it goes from out of Woodbridge, goes through Edison, so unlike the other line that goes through Sayreville to get to that substation. Part of the plan is a small part of it is leaving the site, an electric transmission line, going through Edison and into the Edison station. The Woodbridge Energy Center project, and they had a number of features to it that have been dealt with in connection with this. First of all, the Woodbridge Energy Center receives through a gray water line pipe system. Gray water, or partially treated water from the Middlesex County Utilities Authority, and uses that water as a beneficial reuse, recycles it, and where that water would normally be dumped into the Raritan River, there's a zero discharge. It's actually utilized, and it not only takes that water to use it for beneficial reuse, but also doesn't discharge it. It doesn't go to the Raritan River. The Keesby project, we'll call the first one the Woodbridge Energy Center, which it is. The new Keesby project will do the same thing. It will take gray water from the MCUA. There will be a pipeline that goes partially out of Woodbridge through Sayreville, basically using pretty much the same easement in the same areas where the current water line exists, into the MCUA treatment facility. And again, we'll accept more gray water. So you'll hear from our testimony, even more gray water will be beneficially reused by this facility that otherwise would be dumped into the Raritan River. So that we're actually, again, the environmental benefit from that is obvious. The electric transmission line, again, will go in 2 different directions now. We'll have one that will be going into Edison, one will be going to Sayreville, and providing the 2 power plants power to these different regions within the state that need this electrical system. And so what we have for you this evening, the first application is an application for major subdivision approval. That is a subdivision, that you see those red lines, that would create the new lot, which is now needed because it's a separate project and not an expansion, on which the CPV Keesby Energy Center will be built. The second application involves the Woodbridge Energy Center existing lot, which now will be a smaller lot because of the subdivision. It will be changed, the bulk and area criteria will change because of that, but in addition to that, we are proposing some improvements on the Woodbridge Energy Center lot that will be shared facilities. We will provide testimony. So we're adding some development features to the Woodbridge site that help the two power plants work together. So we don't have to build it double on the Keesby site. They're being built on the Woodbridge site and they're shared facilities. In addition to that, we're also adding to the Woodbridge Energy site a renewable energy solar facility. So the second approval that we're looking for is basically amended site plan approval for the Woodbridge Energy Center lot as it's been created, to recognize that it's a smaller lot, Woodbridge coverage has changed, but there are also new improvements that the professionals have reviewed, we'll talk about this evening, that include new features for the shared services between the two, and also the new solar facilities. So the first application that we have before you, we submitted this 3 applications. I think the subdivision and the site plan for Woodbridge, I think the Woodbridge site combined, but technically we need 3 approvals from this board. We need preliminary and final major subdivision approval, and as part of the subdivision application, we are creating a new lot. When this board approved the Woodbridge Energy Center project, it granted a variance to allow the property to not abut directly abut a public street. That's because between Riverside Drive and the property, the rail line runs, and that's a separate property. So we have to go to the rail line. Technically, we don't have frontage on the free street. This subdivision will result in that condition continuing for the new lots that are created. So we have a variance being requested for that. In addition to that, we're creating the new lot. We're also creating a smaller piece of land as part of the subdivision that will be conveyed to Epic, who will be consolidating that with the land on which they are building a public access roadway, which will ultimately be dedicated to the township. And so what this subdivision is doing is allowing the roadway that will provide access to the public, the new waterfront park, by way of giving the land that can be part of the roadway. The improvements are going to be built by Epic and others. We're simply providing that land as part of the subdivision. We're also working with the DEP in connection with that because we're facilitating, providing additional public access to the waterfront. And we're also working with the township in connection with finding another way to provide additional public access. As part of the overall DEP approvals for this project, the waterfront development law, waterfront development permitting, requires that an applicant must provide public access to the waterfront or address that in some manner. And we're working with our last project. Again, we're part of the Epic public access recreation improvements. We also made a contribution to the, it was a time of Superstorm Sandy, to a dock facility in Sayreville that's rebuilt as a result of that as part of our public access requirement. The only area that's within the waterfront development area is our gray water line going into Sayreville. And so we are working with the township to try to find a way to provide additional improvements to meet our obligation with the DEP and to further enhance the public park. One of the things may be that since we don't have the ability to put a boat ramp or something along that easily that's for a water line, we're looking at one possibility of providing additional improvements that we would pay for within the park area. So that's part of what we're working with the township on that. We're working with Brown and Caldwell, the engineering firm and the environmental consultants for Epic who've been involved with this, and also with the township special development council. So as far as the overall package is concerned, that's what we have before you this evening. The subdivision application.
It's a 3-lot.
For 3 lots that will end up with 2 after perfection. There will be 2 new lots and a lot area that will be conveyed and consolidated with the Epic property. So we're creating 3 lots, we're ending up with 2 when the dust settles. The new Keysby lot, the smaller lot that the Woodbridge Energy Center will be on, and will now basically part of the future roadway. It's now a lot area that will be part of the future roadway in the future. So that's the background of the Woodbridge. If anyone has any questions related to that, kind of jamming it all together, but that's what we're here for this evening. And as a result, what we have 3 different approvals within 2 different applications. And what I'd like to do, if the board doesn't have any questions, is first call up our project engineer and give us a background of why we have so many players here. The on-site development has been engineered by CME, the engineering firm. The off-site gray water line improvements going out of Woodbridge and Sayreville have been engineered by Marathon Engineering, who did that original work. And the electric transmission line that is now going into Edison has been engineered by PS&S. So we have 3 different sets of engineering plans, and that's why your professionals and planning director asked if you have a plan basically showing where all these things go and how this trail ends up, and we'll try to explain that to you in a little more detail. It's important to note that with respect to, although it's not before this board, when we came before you in 2013, with the Woodbridge Energy Center project. You may remember we had boards that went around the room there. The DEP commissioner at the time asked that we have line of sight drawings. We had these drawings where literally, if you held your hand out this far away from it, you could see the actual dimensions and size of what it looked like. And the commissioner at that time wanted us to demonstrate that we were addressing the public view shed requirements, so that the electric transmission line that was in the vicinity of the Raritan River, you would not see it from adjacent roadways or properties. We literally had to demonstrate with move poles that you would not see these transmission lines from different locations. And we satisfied the state, that satisfied the board members, and they were developed in that area. What we did this time around was met with the state very early on, and instead of going easily through private property, the electric transmission line has been sited now all on largely state highway right-of-ways. It's some part of the county road, but we're avoiding residential properties and any issues related to that. And in essence, we've been working for 2 years now with the DOT, Turnpike Authority, and ultimately the Federal Highway Agency with respect to getting the approvals for the electric transmission line to be installed. Again, without having an impact on residential properties or adjacent properties, it's going to be with the right-of-ways. And that's involved having to deal with their policies, locations, and easements and construction details. We've spent a lot of time to that point. We're now ready to move forward with that.
Who's your first witness?
My first witness is my engineer. He's coming up. Okay, Aaron Madison.
Do you want to raise your right hand? Swear the testimony you give when this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Use your name and address on the record, please.
My name is Darren Mazzi. I'm with CPV Associates, 3141 Boardtown Avenue, Harvard, New Jersey.
Can you give us some of your qualifications, please?
Sure. I am a graduate of Rutgers University class of 2005. I've been a professional engineer since 2010, practicing in the state of New Jersey. This is actually my second time before this board in the last 2 months. I was here back in June as well. I had...
Qualified event?
You did.
I'll qualify you again, that field of engineer.
Thank you. Mr. Just for the record, we have the principal from CPV here as well as the power measures, the applicant. And at some point I was going to have them explain who they were for the board, but in the interest of time, I thought we could jump right into the subdivision application and testimony there. So, Mr. Massey, let's refer to the exhibits that have been identified here. And first of all, with respect to referring to A3, the aerial subdivision overlay that I described to the board in our application. Can you explain to the board exactly what is this subdivision proposing beyond the brief description?
Not a problem. So, Exhibit A3 is over here. What we have done, Chuck Alex, can I do what I said to you?
Sure, yeah, we actually, if it's okay with the, sort of, we have reduced versions of the board of that same exhibit, maybe use the same. We can make copies available to the public.
Fine. I don't know if anybody needs to see it.
Okay. I'll explain it first, and
Yeah.
we do.
Okay.
What we have on the outbound is we've made the existing property lines, everything looks like orange, and the subdivision lines are red. The glare, actually, the pointer is not working.
See that?
But to give a little background, lot 102 was established as part of the minor subdivision in 2013. The lot is 27.46 acres in size and is now contains the operational Woodbridge Energy Center. Woodbridge Energy Center is located on the eastern portion of the property.
There we go. Very good.
All right. So I can show the outbound perimeter shown in orange, which is in this location here. There are two subdivision lines shown in red on this exhibit, which the first one generally runs north to south and bisects a lot. And there's a small sliver that leaves a triangle-shaped feature over here for the future public roadway. Just to give a little background, the existing site is bound to the north by Conrail. It's lot 70.01, lot 10 to the west is Canal Properties. To the northwest, east, and south is lot 100.1011, which is Evan Palmer's property.
Okay, and we talked about, I mentioned that we have a variance condition here related to frontage of the roadway. Can you explain where that, how that variance comes into play?
Correct. So as part of the initial application of the variance, because the frontage of the roadway was bounded by Conroe right-of-way, which is parallel to Riverside Drive. With this new lot, which is the eastern lot, we still not have any direct access to the public frontage, so we were going to be requesting a variance for that as well.
And this is a reapproval basically with the same variance was granted previously, because we have frontage along the roadway, but the railway intercedes, and that is actually rather than easement owned by different property owners. So our frontage
Does the
is
nature of the variance change by this application in
It-
any way?
It has because of the subdivision and because of the reducing, changing the particular lot. So again,
What was the variance that you got granted last
it was to
2015?
allow for the lot to be developed without having frontage on an improved street. We're now asking.
Oh, so it wasn't a dimensional variance?
It was not. It was a lack of frontage between an intervening property. We're asking that that variance be approved in connection with subdivision. Now we're creating two separate lots, which will reapprove that variance for this change condition.
In addition to it's less than 50 foot? Or not?
That's a different
That's a different variance?
variance. Different variance, that's not the subdivision that relates to the site plan.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Same issue as 2013?
Yeah, same issue, but different property configuration. Now two lots that it affects rather
Yeah,
than.
I get it.
Okay.
All right, so as I explained, the eastern lot will be future lot 100.021. This lot will house the Woodbridge Energy Center facilities. It will be 16.458 acres. The lot to the west will be future lot 100.022. That will be the future Keesby lot. That one will be 10.85 acres. And then there will be a small separate lot here, which will be 0.146 acres. And that lot, as Bob has mentioned before, is for future access to the public access road, which that Palmer is developing. And eventually will be turned over to the township as a public roadway known as Claret Drive. Upon the subdivision, there's also going to be a common stormwater system that we want the board to be aware of. Both the Woodbridge Energy Center and the future Keesby Energy Center will be sharing a basin here as well as interconnected storm sewer improvements such as drainage inlets and piping.
Again, that's response to comments from your professionals. There will be shared facilities, there will be cross easements related to the shared facilities. You will see that there will be actually a variance condition created by the site plan, but the lot line goes along the existing access road line, which then eliminates the 10-foot separation requirement. But again, it's a fictional variance because there'll be cross easements if the lot line is not there, but because there'll be a different lot, different ownership, you get that condition, similar to what we're talking about.
So those cross easements are going to be set forth in the deed to be recorded?
They will be. There's also a shared services agreement that you'll see in connection with the site plan that will talk about the rights between the two property owners. We'll provide that as part of the approval response to professional comments.
And just for a little background, the reason why we're going before the board for a major and a final preliminary major subdivision approval is because we will be extending the public roadway on a future Claret Drive. And Bob, we touched on the variance.
We did. Those are the questions that I have for Mr. Bazzi in connection with this application. We have our planner here to provide specific planning testimony in connection with variance. She's prepared to testify with the site plan application.
No, it's me.
Okay.
Unless somebody has a question.
Any questions from the board?
Is there any more testimony on the engineering?
Not on the subdivision, unless.
Okay, you're going
Yeah,
to
this
talk
is the
more about the
subdivision
site.
right now. Again, if you have any questions or anything else, we'll be letting provide. But right now, we're just talking about.
Okay, I'll wait on the site.
And we'll
Thank you.
bring Mr. Mazza back to the site plan testimony. Can you please identify yourself for the board?
Sure.
Might as well remain standing because now I'm swearing you in.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board and the public. Baltika Apte, APTE.
And again, you just give the board the benefit of your professional qualifications.
Sure. I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed since 2007. I've testified before several boards, including this board in June. And,
Were you qualified as an expert as a planner at that time?
yes, I was.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
So that testimony you got to give the board this matter to choose the board to conduct for the June.
Qualifying, planning, and everything previously.
Thank you.
Ms. Hackney, with respect to the, you've heard the testimony and my representation related to the variance associated with the subdivision application. From a planning perspective, can you provide the board with your analysis with respect to why the benefits of granting this variance would substantially outweigh the detriment in the circumstance?
Sure. So just for the board's benefit, the two variances we are looking at this related to this application. The first one is the lot not having a street frontage, which would essentially be a bulk variance. What we are looking for is a C2 variance, which literally means balancing of positive and negative criteria and balancing how positives outweigh the detriments. The second variance, which is related to this application, is the internal roadway between the two lots, which would not have the 10-foot setback that's required per the redevelopment plan. That would also be a C2 variance. Now I'll talk about the positive criteria.
Now, there's no setback at all, right?
No.
That's
it's
10 feet is
zero
required
setback.
and 0 feet
Yeah,
is
that's
proposed.
basically the lot line goes along.
I
the
get it.
road line.
Very much.
For
Another square U is in about a minute. Okay, go ahead.
So first I'm going to talk about the positive criteria. For positive criteria, we have to look at what are the goals of the municipal land use law that are furthered by this application. There are several of them, and I'll just go point by point. The first one is the goal A, which is to encourage municipal action to guide appropriate use of development in all lands, which would kind of promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. We are proposing a power generation facility which, as the 2011 Energy Master Plan and also the EPEC redevelopment plan states, is a requirement in the state of New Jersey. With this proposal, we are also furthering two more goals. One is H, which basically is to promote the free flow of traffic. With the subdivision, we are proposing a public access to the bridge and river, which is required as per, which is one of the goals of the EPEC development plan. And we are, with this internal roadway and the shared services, we are promoting a more free flow of traffic between users that are correlated. We also further the goal M, which is more efficient use of land. Two users which are very similar to each other can have shared services. It just is more economical and efficient use of land. The last one, which would be the goal G, which is to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for different types of uses. We are proposing a industrial use in an industrial area, but we are also furthering by providing a public access for recreational uses, which is one of the requirements of the redevelopment plan. Now I'll talk about the negative.
Before you do that, just so the board is clear, what you were just describing is under the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law, the purposes of zoning in 3455-2 are listed in A through H.
Yes.
And beyond. You testified as to which specific purposes of zoning and planning are being furthered by the granting of this variance, correct?
That's correct.
And that would then address the positive criteria for a C2 variance in this situation.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
Have you had a chance to evaluate the negative criteria in support of this C2 variance?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe the board what your findings and testimony is here?
Sure. The negative criteria has two prongs. First is we have to talk about if this variance is going to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but there'll be no substantial, and the keyword here is substantial impairment to the zone plan. As I had just testified before, that there are several goals of the EPEC redevelopment plan that are furthered. To give you a few, one is efficient use of redevelopment area, providing various economic an economically beneficial uses for the township. And this would also create a power generation facility, which is also one of the permitted uses of redevelopment plan. All in all, the site does comply with all the requirements of the zone. It's a permitted use. Most of the bulk variances are met. It's a very technical requirement that it's not on the street. It doesn't face the street.
Okay. The second part of the negative criteria you talked about is substantial detriment to the zone plan or the development plan here has to do with the variance being able to be granted without causing substantial detriment to the public good.
That's right.
Can you provide the board your findings with respect to that?
Sure. The variance essentially in this case is, again, as I stated, is more technical in nature. The use has always been there. It's not had a street frontage, and now with this subdivision, it will not have a street frontage. So it's a very visually indiscernible kind of variance. The second, there will be this use has existed in the township since 2016, and there have not been any substantial impacts. As a result, in my professional opinion, it seems that there would be a minimal impact for, there will be no substantial detriment to the public good.
So is it your opinion that the variance can be granted and be positive and negative criteria for C2 variance relief is addressed?
Yes, the last part of this variance is how benefits outweigh the detriment. And as testified, there are several benefits and very minimal detriment to this granting of these two variances. Basically, you are getting an efficient operation of a power generation facility, which is much needed source in this region, and it's substantially beneficial to the minimal detriments that these two variances will cause. In my professional opinion, I believe these variances have met the statutory burden that's required for the variances, and I would request that the board grant these requested variances.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, again, that's our application for preliminary and final major subdivision approval with the variances that they requested for the other questions.
Yeah, Council, can you just describe the relief under 4055B 36? You need to cover that because it doesn't front on a public right of way. You need to provide some testimony.
Okay, that was, okay.
Basically talks about emergency access, emergency. I know you can provide it, but I think you should put something on the record that says that you can provide emergency access.
Certainly.
From
Let me just advise the board and I, as our planner, we want to go further in terms of the public good not being in any way detrimentally affected by way of the fact that we can go in front of the street. For the record, we have county planning board approval, and the county treated this farm as in front of the county road, and the county access driveway. Everything's been designed to meet county standards from a legal standpoint. It just happens to be a legal issue that there's an intervening property by somebody else that we have to cross to get the roadway. With respect to that, can you just provide the board your professional opinion? Is there any detriment to the public good, any impact on municipal services, anything that would otherwise be barred or prevented from occurring if this property had direct frontage on the public street?
Sure. I believe the way the property has been designed, it would not have the shared services. There would be access for emergency and any kind of emergency services that are required, be it fire, be it I guess police emergency or any kind of the shared services that are kind of provided with the internal roadway between the two facilities will provide that, although the site wouldn't have a street frontage.
And in your view, in your opinion, the findings that the board made in 2013 in granting the variance to allow relief for not having frontage along the right of way or direct street frontage, have those conditions changed in any appreciable way where it would make that situation less desirable?
I believe it hasn't changed. In fact, there would be more shared services, there would be more internal roadway and a direct access to Colorado Drive.
Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied with that. I only pointed out the law required that they provide some testimony.
Under section 35.
Yeah, 36.
35?
agree with Claire?
Well,
But I-
4055D-35 deals with building lot with Butts Creek. It's not a 36, it's 35.
Understood.
All right, good.
We agree.
But they haven't provided any data, so we're satisfied.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, no. Maybe somebody else.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we proceed any further, I noticed that there's a video recorder in the right corner of my chambers here, and I'd like to know. Sorry?
He identified himself, gave us the card.
I didn't hear it, that's why I wanted to
We
be sure.
weren't here at
Yep. That was cold.
the time.
That was right in my back. All right, I got up off the floor now, fine. Anyway, did you, sir, are you the owner and operator of that video recorder?
Yes, I am, sir.
And you identified your name and address on the record?
She has it.
I have not given my address. I gave my name and the publication I work for to the secretary.
Okay, in the future, if you intend to videotape any of our proceedings, you must notify us in advance in writing.
Could you please cite the state law or ordinance that you're referencing?
It's a case, and I don't have
Could
it
you
right
cite
now.
the
I don't
case,
have
sir?
it right now, I'm not going to debate about it, but as a matter of courtesy, you should be doing that anyway.
I respectfully disagree. As a journalist,
Okay,
it's
well,
my
we're not
right
gonna
to
have a
videotape a
discussion
public
anytime
meeting.
you about
There is case
disagreement.
law on this. It's
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Taurus v. Pine Hill Borough
Sir,
is the
sir,
case I'd like
thank
to
you,
cite.
Thank you. Sir.
Okay. Proceed.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to our application for preliminary final major subdivision approval of variance you requested, that is our case. It would be cleaner for our purposes for financing otherwise if we added an approval, at least maybe preliminary final major subdivision approval with variance granted as a separate application.
Okay.
So we ask that we'll consider a motion to do that.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody on this application want to speak?
Does this cover, excuse me, is this a blanket, does this cover all three parts of it?
No, just subdivision.
This is a subdivision, okay, thank you.
Yeah, hear me well?
Sir, you want to raise your right hand? Swear testimony about to give the board in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Give us your name and address for the record.
Junior Romero, 100 Bayer Street, Brunswick, with a group called Food and Water Watch.
You're what?
Food and Water Watch.
What is that?
Organization I'm with. It's an environmental nonprofit. Am I able to
You
comment
can be
on?
seated if you want to.
Am I able to comment on the power plant in general? So, New York State Friday just denied a crucial air permit for CPV power plant in Orange County, New York.
How's that relevant here?
You're about to vote on CPV power plant.
What do you expect us to do with that information? Utilize it in some way in our decision-making process? That is not happening.
I want to give you background on the company.
But
That's
if you're
proposing
telling,
this power plant.
then why are you telling us information? Are you telling us that information because you think it impacts the board's decision in this matter?
I want to make sure the board members are aware of the company that is proposing this additional power plant in the city that they live in and they're board members of.
Well, I don't know everything you have there. I don't want to cut you short, but I want you to tell us relevant stuff that's meaningful for us. And not, you know, you can't come to New Jersey and argue what California says. Follow what I'm saying? California's a different jurisdiction. We weren't at the hearing. We don't know their rules. So it's not binding on us here, nor do we know what the heck was presented there. So,
Orange County, New York, state owned, and I think it's relevant to the board to hear. So I'd like to proceed if that's
the
okay.
denial, you think the denial is relevant? How's it relevant? Do you think it should enter into our decision-making process?
I just want to make sure that this information is presented to the board members to make sure that they're aware.
If it's relevant, sir, that means you're saying to us it can be used in the board board's decision-making process?
To my understanding, this is the only board that will be approving permits at the municipal level on this proposal. So I want to make sure that the highest,
If you tell us something relevant and material, we're happy to hear it. But don't start telling us about other denials or approvals in some other state, in some other case, we have no idea what it's about because it's not binding on us.
okay, whether it's binding or not, that has to be
If
argued.
I listen to you further and I find that it's not binding, I won't be hearing anything further.
Okay.
Because it's inappropriate. One second. It's inappropriate. I'm not saying you don't have a public purpose and your job is fine. I'm saying this is an agency board. We only hear competent evidence. We don't hear stuff that has nothing to do with our function. So
I understand your counsel to the board. To the board
I'm here to
members.
make sure they do the right thing
I understand.
and they apply New Jersey law, not what happened in New York.
I understand.
I have no idea about that case. You didn't send it to me ahead of time. I don't know what was considered. I have no idea what the testimony was. I'm not privy to the experts, and neither is this board. So please do not tell us stuff we cannot utilize.
I would like to proceed if that's okay.
Okay, I'm going to let you go until I see that you're giving us stuff we can't utilize.
I'd like to ask, if possible, where this energy would all be for New Jersey's consumption?
Well, first of all,
Can you answer that?
this is a subdivision application. We have experts who talk about the site plan application and follow. But it will go into, yes, New Jersey grid, through the PID, through the PSEG, the substation. So again, we'll be providing testimony in connection to the site plan application. This is only.
You probably should wait till then, because this is just a mere subdivision.
All those questions will be answered by our testimony.
Would that be the next?
Yep.
I'll probably just wait till then.
You good with that?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
This talks about the bulk variance.
Sir, I need you to raise your right hand.
Bulk variance is about the roadways. Can I talk about that now? The right of way?
The only variance in this case is that the project does not frontage, does not abut a public street. That's correct. You
And
wanna go
public
over
right
that?
of way, I can
I'm sorry?
Public right of way.
I want to repeat this again, that the variance here is that there's no public street that abuts the site.
So,
Which we
let
granted.
me
which-
talk for 2
No,
minutes.
no, you can't, because I gotta raise your hand if you
Okay.
talk. Can you raise your hand? I can swear you in.
Okay.
You swear the testimony you're about to give the board in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but yourself you got?
Yes, I do.
Okay, talk.
Okay.
Give it your name and address.
Gerard Ivanka, 32 Brunswick Avenue, Pole 1, New Jersey. About the KSV, about the Woodbridge Energy Center, we're talking about correct here, right? And we're talking about the roadways in the existing complex and the variance you'll be granting for future roadways. Am I safe so far?
No, this is part of the site that does not abut a public roadway,
Okay.
which was previously granted in 2013.
Yeah.
No, I'm showing exactly
What are we pointing to?
This is
Yeah.
exhibit A3,
Right.
okay? This,
we can't see that.
without this line, okay? If you take away this line, which is a subdivision line,
Right.
you have what is the existing Woodbridge Energy Center project.
Right.
The Woodbridge Energy Center, this is Riverside Drive. Between Riverside Drive and the site is the Conrail rail line, okay? That Conrail line is actually another property. So even though technically we see Riverside Drive there, when we cross it, we have a property between us and the public right of way, so we don't have direct access to public right of way. When we dealt,
Excuse me. You need to wait till,
I can't talk about that.
not yet. No, because one of our board members left the days.
Okay. All right.
I said, wait, 1, 2, 3. So she returns, so she can have the benefit of hearing what you have to say.
Oh, okay.
I'm advised that she's in the back.
Oh,
So as soon as she returns, we'll proceed.
She's like, that's what video game.
Well, I just got an idea, you know. Wait, maybe it's just like- No.
That can be managed.
That's a good point. So,
You got a whole stock if you're one.
all right, record reflect, we are now in full strength.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Robo, as I referring back to Exhibit A3 and answering the gentleman's questions. Again, this is Riverside Drive. The access to the existing power plant already required a variance because we don't directly access the rail trains. Because we have a subdivision and we're changing that property, there's going to be a different power plant built here. Using the same access drive, it changes the conditions. So we're asking that that variance be approved as with respect to the subdivision. Now there will be 2 lots instead of 1. And as any approval that is granted by this board is subject to any other outside agency approval required, you're required to once again get Middlesex County Planning Board approval for the access to Riverside Drive, and they will be reviewing and approving that based upon county standards.
you have a Clara Drive there, and there's a mention of a Mac Drive and a Delina Drive in that area, and a traffic signal. Would I be out of bounds if I mentioned those 2 items? They were brought up in last night's council meeting. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. And
Would I be thinking to?
what's the issue, sir?
The issue
Where
is-
are those, where is that located on that, you know?
No, not really. The council drum was here, but there was mention made of it last night. Traffic signal, Mac Lane and Riverside Drive, right? And there's a Delina Lane marked down there too, so I think.
Where is it in relationship to this site?
It's not.
Well, how, do you know how far away it is?
Mac Lane is just like the site.
With Mr. Maz has been sworn, let's, why don't we refer to the larger exhibit here?
You can actually see it.
Exhibit A. Is it, okay.
You're still on the road.
Back to A3. You're still doing this, man.
So Mac Lane is located right here for board members. It's directly in front of the Woodbridge Energy Center.
On the other side.
On the other side.
On the other side of the street.
So it doesn't impact it, and Delina Lane doesn't do linear, right? And these, just
Sorry, I
variances.
can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I can't-
yeah, these variances and stuff like that, the new roadways and stuff like that will be all appropriate for firefighting vehicles?
It's an existing access driveway.
Yeah.
That will simply be utilized again for the power plant. And there actually will be a new roadway. Blair Drive will be, this application will facilitate providing additional right-of-way to Fort Blair Drive, which will be a future municipal roadway, and improve municipal roadway standards.
Will these be roadways be built after the completion of the plant or built in conjunction with the?
It has nothing to do with the plan, we're just doing this to help facilitate that aspect. We're providing additional right-of-way as an accommodation to the township and assisting them in doing this. It is not needed for this project, it's not affected by this project. We have no roadway improvements being proposed. This is simply an access driveway. The subdivision will create a small portion of land we're going to be dedicated to, giving that dedicated.
Where's the access driveway?
All right. The roadway is in the northwest corner at Riverside Drive. It's identified as Clara Drive and Road 1 on the exhibit.
Is that the one you're gonna dedicate?
The only,
Or that's another?
Just a portion.
Oh,
it's gonna be dedicated by Epic Polymers as a
Oh,
separate
okay. All
application.
right.
Yeah, that makes public access to the waterfront now. It's a private area. We're going to facilitate it becoming public.
If you can execute the public right away existing going to the park, where would that be? Right here, Polaris Drive?
Which one, Mazzy, Polaris Drive?
It's actually,
Future Polaris Drive on the other
we
two.
would need to use another exhibit because it's not shown on
Let's
this.
refer to the other exhibit.
It's actually not there.
Okay, what exhibit is that?
It'll be exhibit A5.
A5. A5 has been identified as the aero site related to Keating Energy Center.
So this will be the public access route coming from Riverside Drive.
Okay.
It'll cross through, go past the power plant site, it'll bend around. Now, this is something that's been designed by a professional. Brown and Caldwell is the design engineer, and it's being reviewed as part of the
And I believe approved by the township, from an engineering standpoint, we were told that the PRC.
Would I be out of bounds if I asked how close this drive would be to the infrastructure of the plant? Or
that's
is that good? Yeah, what would be the setback of that collaborative drive to the mechanicals of the plant?
So there's a 50-foot front yard setback that will be required as part of the future access. As we get into later testimony, there is going to be a variance requested for the demineralized water tank,
Yeah.
which we can get to later if the board
Yeah,
prefers.
that's a separate.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Okay, anyone else?
I have a procedural question.
Yes, sir.
Since I know you only had 2 applications.
We submitted 3 and combined, that they were combined against administrative.
So procedurally speaking,
We noticed
yes, I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Okay. Procedurally speaking, do you want, is it appropriate for the board just to hear the subdivision application and then the site plan?
That was the intention.
Because there,
Sorry.
since you only have, that's one at all times, that's one application, not 2, it's got 1 number on it.
Right.
So from a procedural point of view, is there any reason why we can't do all that at one time? You have to review everything on the site plan?
If you want to combine the 2, as long as it's made clear that we're getting.
The only reason I say that is because procedurally, you don't have a separate subdivision application for whatever reason. And I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters either way at the end of the day, but the vote matters to me.
Okay. Well, let's talk this for a minute. We submitted an application, preliminary final, major subdivision for the variances. We submitted a separate application for preliminary final site plan approval, or amended site plan approval for the Woodbridge Energy Center site, and we submitted a 3rd application for the Keating site. So we did submit 3 different applications, we noted for 3 different applications. I believe what happened was administratively, the planning department combined the Woodbridge.
We want a
together.
separate resolution?
I would prefer a separate resolution for bonding for our.
So I'm
finance
going to do a
purposes.
separate resolution under one application?
Well, if you can't do it for your internal.
That's what
reasons-
I'm
If
saying.
you can't do it for internal reasons, what I would suggest is this. If you need 1 vote related to the Woodbridge Energy Center's property, we can, I guess, combine them as long as you're granting preliminary final major subdivision variance and the amended or preliminary final site approval for the
Well,
Woodbridge
we
site.
wouldn't consider anything that you haven't applied for.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we just need to make sure that I have 3 approvals. That's the bottom line. Because we've applied for 3.
well, but if it's, I've certainly done resolutions in my career that combine both the subdivision and the site plan.
As long as.
Is there a reason you need a separate?
Well,
Do
I've
you
got
think?
lenders council looking at this from all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're going to be saying, you have 3 applications, why do you only have 2 resolutions? Well, we'll explain it, they're in the same resolution, that's fine. It would be cleaner for us as a matter of, when we talked about this at the PRC meeting,
Yeah.
we've noticed, we've filed, we've done everything for a separate subdivision application, an amended site plan application for the Woodbridge on the remainder lot, and a brand new site plan application for the power plant. Ideally, we'd like to have 3. If you need to combine a subdivision site plan for some internal purposes, as long as it's made clear we have a subdivision approval and amended site plan approval, then I'll just have to explain it. It just makes it a little more.
It's actually easier for me because the conditions are different. The conditions contained with respect to approval of the subdivision are different than a site plan.
And we assume we would have to address those conditions separately.
statutory protection, all of that
We
stuff.
assume we would address that as a separate application. We'd have to address all the conditions in 3 separate applications.
I'm comfortable doing it separately. I think,
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sir.
If you don't get approval on the first one, the second one is moved.
That's true.
well, that's true.
That's true. But we're trying to create, well, the first one is trying to create a lot, which,
I'm saying, if you don't get the first
Absolutely.
one, there is no
that's
second.
right. That's right. That's good. That's the other point.
Well, we all assume that.
Yeah. So again, if you wanted to vote no on the subdivision, and you never get to the site plan, so again, you're absolutely. So,
That's the legal end.
but that's, that's the practical end we look at it today. We have created a record for the subdivision of variance. We haven't provided any testimony other than representation.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I was,
Yeah.
we're at the point where we're either gonna do that,
Yeah.
or we're gonna do a combination and then rehear everything on a site plan and then do it in one shot. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's actually better for me to do it separately.
And it's better for us to do it. So, and again, and we understand that there'll be separate conditions that we have for the subdivision,
Sir,
and there's 2 subdivisions.
you must remain seated. You're distracting me.
We're still in the public portion.
Yeah, I'd like to speak, but do what you gotta do.
Then we'll call, we'll call you. I'm sorry, you were saying?
No, again, I agree with you. We fully understand that if you go to resolution of conditions for the subdivision and 2 resolutions related to the site plan, we have to satisfy all those conditions separately and apart. That's 3 different approvals.
I get it. So, it is my legal view that it is the better approach to do it separately. So we'll, if there's anything else on the public hearing end of the subdivision alone, we'll hear that, include the hearing on that, and then on the same application number, we're considering the site plan, assuming it's receives favorable approval.
That works for us.
I can just continue. You want it,
Yes, I think one of your fellow board
Guys,
members.
I also had a question.
Sure. What is it?
So, looking at the plan now, since we're on the same chain of thoughts, when you're talking about subdivision with this new lot created, the lot that would be with Woodbridge Energy Center, will it comply with all required setbacks and so forth?
It will comply, but except for this, what we're going to talk about. We've asked for separate variances that were just created by the lot line. For example, that we're now drawing a lot line where the roadway is, and we no longer have that 10-foot separation that is in now, which is a complete separation now. But that's the next application. We'll go through any relief that we require for that going forward. But to create the lot as it is, to create Woodbridge as it is, this application, if approved, would allow for that to be a lawfully created lot.
Okay, so let's continue, because we're at the public hearing, and I prefer to finish that, and then we can have some comment from the board. So
Sure.
let's continue with the public hearing. Sir, you want to read it right here? Testimony about, you agree that the testimony about before this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yeah.
Name and address for the record.
Charles Cranville, the editor of New Brunswick Today, community newspaper of New Brunswick, PO Box 318 of New Brunswick, New Jersey. So I just want to get this straight, that the application before you right now is to subdivide the property for purposes of developing a new power plant. That's correct.
Creating a lot that could be used for any purpose, but our intention is to have it approved for in an application will follow.
Understood. And the plant will burn natural gas, is that correct?
The existing plant does burn natural gas. That's correct. The new plant, which we haven't testified yet, we will provide it, will also burn.
This is just a subdivision.
This is
I
just,
understand.
You haven't heard those details yet.
I understand, just, would be in everyone's interest to know what the proposed use is before you vote for the subdivision.
Not necessarily.
This lot can be used for any other purpose, lawful in the zone. We're creating a lot.
We're just
And that's all
considering the
this is for
subdivision.
right now, is creating a lot.
I understand that there's a proposal on your very same agenda, the very same night, and
Which will follow.
relevant to know what's proposed.
That'll
So,
follow, which is separate public hearing, so follow.
I fully
That'll be the
understand.
next phase.
I still just would like to get some answers to my questions. So how much electricity would the new plant?
We will have detailed testimony on the third application.
We're not going to give you that now. We're only entertaining subdivision.
Right now, we're talking about
So
property.
the board doesn't want to know
Right now,
In
we're
How much?
We do want to know.
It's in
And
there.
excuse me, it is inaccurate to say that.
It was a question.
Like I'm trying, I know, but you're asking questions that need to be reserved for the site plan application. This is simply a straight subdivision. Whatever the land use law permits them to construct there is a different issue.
You can come back when we get to the second.
So asking the board questions about stuff they haven't heard testimony about, you're not going to be very good.
I recall hearing testimony about a new power plant being created.
Yes, but you haven't heard the engineering details yet. You just heard generalities.
Right, which is why I'm asking these follow-up questions so that everyone has the information about what is proposed to be done as a direct result of this subdivision. They didn't come and say, we have a subdivision, we might want to build a Wawa there, we might want to build a power plant, we're not sure yet. They said, we want a subdivision, we want to build a power plant there. And I'm asking questions about the power plant. I think those are in order.
If this, like I said before, if the subdivision is not approved, there is no other questions.
Correct. I suspect it will be approved.
Well, then you're obviously clairvoyant and much better than I am, so then, and that would usurp the function of the board. That's what they do. If they do that, that's fine. If they don't do that, that's fine too. That's what
I
they
don't
do.
think there's a person in this room that doubts that it will be approved.
We are not going to engage in this. If you have anything related to the subdivision itself, happy to hear you. Those other issues, I'm going to reserve for the site plan. I'm not going to waste time with you with this show. The show is not going to happen.
Hold your thoughts.
You have anything else related and material to the subdivision application, sir?
With all due respect, I believe it is material, whether or not a power plant is the right
No,
use
it's
for the
not,
site.
but it is legally not. For example, if I give you the R6 zone, you can only build residences there. If I give you a commercial zone like a B3, you can build 25 different kinds of uses on that subdivision. And the applicant doesn't have to tell us what. All they have to do is ask us for a subdivision. We could or could not grant it, but we're not going to talk about something that's hypothetical.
But they did talk about it, and so as a result of it being in the record, it's fair to ask questions about it. That's all. That's all.
You didn't listen to me. Because you're here to have an argument about it. We're not
Absolutely
going to have an
not.
argument.
I came to get answers
We're
to
happy to
questions.
hear you when it's appropriate. It is not now appropriate. I'm going to ask you to stop asking questions on testimony we really haven't gotten into the nitty-gritty about, which you are fully entitled to hear at the site plan phase. Do you have any questions relevant to the subdivision, up or down, sir?
I heard testimony.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to leave the dais because they're not going to hear you. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you at the site plan.
You have something on the site plan subdivision?
Subdivision. This is the flip side, Mr. Attorney. Look, this is the flip side of dividing. Go ahead, ma'am. Raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give the board and swear to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Name and address on the record.
Yes, my name is Roberta, R-O-B-E-R-T-A Martin. 553 Lyman, L-Y-N-A-N, Avenue. I'm a member of the Woodbridge Environmental Commission, also co-chair of the Woodbridge River Watch. I've been planning work, I don't
Can you
know
speak up this
procedures. I'm just curious are these plans going to be made available to the Woodbridge Environmental Commission? for
These plans
review?
were on file for 10 days before the hearing.
Okay.
There was public notice in the paper, people within 200 feet got notice. They're available right now.
Okay, I
You
don't
want to take a look
remember-
at them, give them to you right now.
Yeah, I don't remember if the commission saw the plans.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, we don't serve them on the environmental commission. It's an advisory board essentially, and so they're not statutorily required to be forwarded to you. Doesn't mean you can't see them like anybody
Right.
else. You can,
Right.
if the environmental commission obtains our agendas in advance, which they're available, you would see the cases and you'd be able to see any documentation that's in the board office 10 days before the hearing. Absolutely.
Okay, that's it for the public hearing.
Anybody else in the public want to speak?
Is, really quick, taxes
Sir,
appropriate?
you got to come back up here. You're not talking to the audience. You're still under oath, sir.
All right, George Bobby, Hope One. Yes, would taxes be appropriate to discuss at this time? Or-
No, we're not talking about taxes.
Taxes on the-
That's not our function. We don't do that. That's the governing body.
But I mean, it's not treated as a separate entity, the subdivisions?
Oh, absolutely. They would be. They're separate lots.
Okay, that's the point I'm trying to put across to you people, and would this new lot be treated as a different tax income?
I'm certainly.
It's a separate tax bill.
Okay,
It's gonna be a separate tax bill.
And what would that do to the existing?
I have no idea,
Okay.
and we're not empowered to decide this case based upon the
Okay,
taxes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, make a motion to close the public portion. Make a motion to close. Second. All in favor? Public portion now closed. You've heard the testimony. You've heard the speakers on the public hearing. I'd like to make a motion or any discussion. Anybody have any discussion? Mr. Allen?
Same thing, I know you mentioned that you have
I can't hear any of that's going on. Can you speak up just a little bit? I can't hear.
So, I heard that there was another application you said?
Yeah, I think Mr. Allen can probably answer the question. What you had, the question you asked was, if this subdivision is approved, what is the resulting impact on the existing Woodbridge Energy Center project? I think the easiest way to address that is as follows. There's an existing variance that would be reapproved that would allow the Woodbridge site with this new lot line to again continue as it is already. And that variance has already been granted by the board. Testimony. The second variance is what we talked to here as well. It's in the context of both the subdivision and the site plan. That is, when the lot line is drawn, its proximity to the Woodbridge access driveway eliminates that 10-foot separation. Now that can either be addressed as part of the Woodbridge amended approvals application, or if the board, we provided testimony, approves it now, then you've eliminated any variances related to that newly created line. That's really the answer to the question. It is a conforming lot otherwise, except for that setback.
No.
Mr. Chairman, after much discussion on the proposed subdivision only, the plan complies with the master plan. It meets the redevelopment and zoning requirements. The variance requested is similar to the one that was approved in 2013. There's been no detrimental effect on the public. I see no detriment currently. Professional testimony supported the granting of a C2 variance in that the benefits of the application outweigh any detriments. Since our professionals also agree with the application's merits, I make a recommendation I propose that the subdivision be approved.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, does that include the variances that are being requested?
The variances that have been requested.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Sharkey?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Creek?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Colonna?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
And Ms. Lewis? Yes. Subdivision portion is granted.
One down.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, I would like to call up again. Actually, what I'd like to do is call up Mr. Andrew Burkhardt.
Let us proceed with the site plan aspect.
The Woodbridge Energy Center lot.
Of application P18-25.
Yes. And if I can, I'd like to call Mr. Andrew Burkhardt from Competitive Power Ventures.
So you want to raise your right hand? Swear to testimony about the ordinance matters, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Here's your name and address.
Andrew Burkhardt, 4 Longfellow Place, Boston, Massachusetts.
Mr. Burkhardt, Ms. Burkhardt is back with us. Mr. Burkhardt, would you please describe your position with the parent of the what exactly is your role with the company?
Sure, my title at Competitive Power Ventures is manager, and on a specific project, I'm the project manager overseeing the development of the KSP Energy Center.
And you are also the assistant project manager for the Woodbridge Energy Center, correct? Which is a developed and operating power plant in the Woodbridge Energy Center. Correct. Okay, just for the benefit of the board and the public, can you just give a little background on Competitive Power Ventures, what the company does, what it's all about?
Sure, Competitive Power Ventures is an electric power generation. So we're an electric power generation company that develops, owns, and manages power plants. We have offices in Washington, D.C. and Boston, Massachusetts. We are focused on providing safe, reliable, cost-effective, and environmentally responsible electric power. We concentrate on high energy efficiency, natural gas, wind-powered generation, and solar to meet the future electric demand. CPV was founded in 1999, and we are owned by Global Infrastructure Partners, which is an infrastructure fund that manages and invests in high-quality infrastructure assets in the energy, transportation, and water and wastewater sectors. GIP currently has over $40 billion under management and approximately has 21,000 people that work for them.
Okay. With respect to, that's CPV and CPV experience, with respect to the Woodbridge Energy Center, there was a question that we said we would answer. Thanks for that. Can you just give a background on the Woodbridge Energy Center for the board of public? It was approved by planning board 2013, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And construction, work close to the township, construction was completed one time and in budget?
It was, yes.
Okay. And how many construction jobs were generated in connection with that project?
It was over 600 construction jobs.
And when did it go into commercial operation?
We went into commercial operations in January of 2016.
And what is the Woodbridge Energy Center now doing by way of power output and capacity? What does it provide as far as electrical services?
Since it went into operation in January 2016, it's been operating about 77% of the time, and has produced nearly 12 million megawatt hours of electricity.
Okay. And CPV, sure, the Competitive Power Ventures entity that built and operates that facility has been working very closely with the community and with Woodbridge since then. In fact, in 2017, was there something that came along?
Yeah, in 2017, the Woodbridge Energy Center received the Woodbridge Metro Chamber of Commerce Business Education Partnership Champion.
So your company has been a good corporate citizen and part of the community since you become.
Correct.
Okay. Why the KSP Energy Center? Why is this project being proposed?
Sure, so we've always contemplated an expansion of the Woodbridge Energy Center, going back to our early days here in Woodbridge. And as we'll see, the site was laid out for the Woodbridge Energy Center with enough room for expansion. We also believe that new, efficient, competitive natural gas power generation is resulting in the continued retirement of aging coal and nuclear generation. So there will be need for facilities like the KSP Energy Center in the future. The KSP Energy Center for us would represent about a $700 to $750 million investment. Will provide additional capacity to the PJM and New Jersey electrical system. And I think because of the shared natures of the two facilities that we've designed, there'll be about 6 additional full-time employees. And during construction, in excess of another 500 construction jobs.
And as far as the facility is concerned, we talk generally about this, but the Woodbridge Energy Center, we talk about the beneficial reuse of rainwater received from the MCUA. Is that the plan with respect to continue with the Woodbridge Energy Center and with respect to KSP?
Correct, yes. The Woodbridge Energy Center receives reclaimed water from the Middlesex County Utility Authority, and the KSP Energy Center will utilize recycled wastewater.
Mr. Chairman, we really just wanted to make sure that the board had attended to that. The public has some questions about the developer, and this is not a fraudulent developer just coming into town for the first time. CPV is here, operating the facility, it's very successful, and is board project or beneficial to the area. So, what is the question?
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call Mr. Madison, introduce the second application.
The part two of the same.
Part two of the same application.
Sir, you're still, I'm gonna start, all right, raise your right hand. Swear to testimony you're about to give the board this matters that you culture, nothing about the truth and nothing but
I do.
Mr. Madison,
well, just for the record, we previously,
Qualified method engineer.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Rubo. Mr. Madison, we indicate this is the second part of the first application. The first application was the subdivision approved grant by the board. This approval involves preliminary final site plan approval and bulk variance approval. We indicated for certain modifications to the Woodbridge Energy Center facility on the newly created lot that will be perfected down the line. Can you just give the board the benefit of what the changes are to the Woodbridge Energy Center lot that are related to this particular application?
Sure. What I'm going to do first is put an exhibit.
What is that exhibit label?
It's exhibit A4.
Which we identified as the aerial site plan overlay for Woodbridge Energy Center improvements. And for the benefit of the board, what does that exhibit depict?
So what this exhibit depicts is the Woodbridge Energy Center with the new subdivided line down the middle. It shows a picture, an aerial photograph of the existing Woodbridge Energy Center. In addition to that, it is showing a proposed solar improvements phase, as well as modifications and a trailer laydown for hydrogen storage tank, for hydrogen storage, as well as demineralized trailers. There is also a combined fuel gas yard as well.
Okay, so just to be clear then, the application involves changing the configuration of the lot, which is changing the open area criteria. The lot size is smaller, the amount of open spaces will be somewhat, is it still fully conforming along those lines?
It's still fully conforming along those lines. The impervious coverage is increased by 3% due to the reduction in the lot size, because the lot size has gone from 27.46 acres to 16.45.
And you talked about, secondly, the additional facilities that will exist or that are proposed for the newly created Woodbridge Energy Center as part of the shared facilities. What impact do those facilities have on the current conditions there? And
the original Woodbridge Energy Center has 31 parking spaces. What's going to happen now is the new lot has 20 parking spaces on it. By the redevelopment plan, 16 parking spaces are required, so we have an excess of that. Let me get to the solar section.
yeah, and just to be clear, the solar, we have structured the application that the solar would be a separate phase, correct?
Correct, there'll be two phases. There's a solar improvements phase, and then a modifications phase to the existing Woodbridge Energy Center.
And what is the purpose of having that as a separate phase?
So they can act independently of each other. If the solar phase comes along first, they will do those improvements, or if it's not ready, they will go forward with the Woodbridge Energy Center improvements.
So just for the benefit of the board members, the solar phase is a separate standalone phase. We may want to do that right away. If this board approves it, doesn't require all the other outside agency approvals that we're currently working on for the rest of the project, DOT, our authority, et cetera. So we've structured the application so that the solar can go forward separately. It may very well be that everybody catches up and it's done at the same time. We have the legal ability, if this board grants its approval, to do the solar once we satisfy the conditions related to that phase.
What is the solar on?
Point that, sure. So there's two solar areas proposed. The northern portion of the property, which would be 13,680 square feet solar array area that's going to be ground mounted on concrete balances. They're anticipating approximately 510 solar panels in that area. And the second solar phase area is on top of the existing administration and water treatment facility. That is a 12,480 square foot solar array area. They're anticipating approximately 524 solar panels.
Excuse me, can I just ask you to back up on the first solar panel? That's going to be on concrete, you said?
Concrete balances.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no problem. Okay. Now, with the second solar area, there are going to be 524 panels. This is going to be subject to changes. The contractor is still, or the applicant is still going through the material selection and panel specifications, and they will provide it to the township on panel selection of the contracting materials.
But just to be clear, the area on the plan would be what we're calling the solar phase, and that would be different than the other modifications phase, which we're talking about related to improvements we made as part of the shared services for the PG.
Correct. Now, with the northern area, there was some concern for professionals regarding drains and erosion. There's going to be surface treatment providing a low to control erosion, as well as the questions regarding glare. The solar panels are designed to absorb rather than reflect sunlight, so we should be fine with that.
And we're responding to questions your professionals answer in the flood testimony. Along the same line, with respect to the comments that we the checklist for screening and storage of equipment, we asked for a waiver for that requirement. Can you explain what that's all about?
Sure. So we've asked for a waiver due to the fact that the facility is set back a considerable distance from Riverside Drive. As you can see, the size of the equipment is large in scale, so it would be tough to screen into the existing heights.
But we are
within the epic redevelopment plan type requirements.
And with respect to the screening, there is existing fencing there, correct?
There's existing fencing around the perimeter of the whole lot, as well as the Conroe Railway does have a tree line there as well, which assists with screening.
So, Mr. Chairman, we had a design waiver request for testimony about from the screening requirements. Again, we're a related redevelopment project that's been environmentally contaminated. We're improving
We're going to
it.
hear that from your plan.
Yes. And we were asked about the design waiver. Okay. With respect to the other testimony that was requested, I'm just looking here to see. We talked about the former solar facilities. We talked about the improvements. Can you give just some more, a little more detail on what the nature of the modification phase is? Or what are those?
So there's two trailer shutdown areas. There's a high storage trailer, which is being proposed to the north of the admin building. And then there's a demonization trailer laid out, which is to the east of the building and highlighting as well. And in conjunction with that, and also future combined fuel gas metering center for both the Woodbridge Energy Center and Heat Metering Center is proposed on the northern portion of the site, just south of the solar array. The site fencing is going to have to be modified to accommodate some of these metering areas as well. So we're requesting those modifications.
And those are going to be expanding the fencing and the screening provided by the fencing, correct?
And then there is going to be some modifications to this access drive. The layout is going to be relatively the same. There are some grading changes to it. This is additional where we have to go to the drainage system.
And again, Mr. Elliott, getting back to that, the access drive modifications, in what we're proposing to do, again, that would, we do not have that input separation, but the combined stormwater management plan would address it with those conditions. So I believe you granted the variance connection with subdivision, but we would ask for that marriage design waiver to not have the 10-foot separation distance. We actually have that imaginary line, it's a lot line, but through cross easements that we created, it's really a fiction for legal purposes to have separate ownership of properties.
Okay, and the last phase of modifications is site plan approval as required for the as-built stockpile, soil stockpile for the southern portion of the site. It is, I'm piling down on the southern portion here. This was constructed as an as-built condition, and when it was under construction, it was reviewed with the township officials to make sure the proper construction and stabilizations were approved. So we'd be asking for that as well.
Mr. Vogt has asked for specific testimony. I think we provided, and we will provide a response and we prefer to provide a specific question related to the operation of existing stormwater management facilities. Can you just, for benefit of the board, just provide answers to the question related to the Woodbridge Energy Center, the detention basin, the drainage system design, etc. I think there's some specific facts we need to put on the record.
Sure. I'd like to give a little background. So as part of the Epic Polymers redevelopment remediation plan, the DP, the stormwater basin was constructed in the southwest corner, former lot 90.002. As part of that, there was an impermeable cap, and there's an impermeable cap under this area, and the outflow runs to the south towards the wetlands that were mitigated. There's now a control structure with dual flow pipes. As part of the original 2013 application, this basin was modified it was designed by Shaw Morristown, and it consisted of drainage swales, inlets, storm sewer piping that all discharged to this basin. The basin was modified. The volume of the basin was modified as part of the initial application to meet water control requirements. actual outlet control, which is where I'm highlighting the southern portion of the basin, was not changed. With regards to water quantity, the site plan originally was developed and it consists of reduced runoff rate reduction for the post-development has a reduction to the creek and 2, 10, and 100-year storms. With regard to water quality,
Just to be clear about the stormwater, repeat that again, the stormwater management pre-post-development conditions.
so the pre-development condition, the post-development condition is less than the pre-development condition. It's been reduced by a factor of 50% for the 2-year storm, 75% for the 10-year storm, and 8% for the 2-year.
So from a stormwater management standpoint, you are reducing the impact of stormwater runoff.
We are, and technically this area flows into a flood hazard discharge area, so technically it does not have to conform with water standards, but we are putting that regardless.
Clarification, Chairman, I believe you're testifying, you're discharging into a tidal stormwater.
Tidal
area.
stormwater.
Thank you.
Title not included.
With regards to water quality, prior to the remediation of the site, the Epic Polymer site had 8.8 acres of impervious area. The Woodbridge Energy Center created 4.3 acres of impervious area, so there was a reduction in impervious as well. So the project did not have to comply with TSS removal or water quality standards. With regard to groundwater recharge, the entire site is capped with a low permeable cover system that was designed to prevent percolation of the groundwater, somewhere into the groundwater, part of the remedial action plan approved by the DEP. As such, this would groundwater recharge not be consistent with the remedial action plan that has been approved previously by the DEP.
So just to be clear on what you're talking about here, that basically the development of this, the existing development of the Woodbridge Energy Center and the proposed future development of Keating Energy Center would be consistent with the remedial action work plan, with the development itself as part of the remediation and beneficial reuse of this brownfield property.
Correct.
May I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
From what I've heard in the testimony, I believe that you can conclude that the stormwater design it meets the requirements of the New Jersey Stormwater Rule as applicable to this property, correct?
It does.
And DEP is going to review, if they haven't already, this currently proposed design.
Yes, we're in the process of pursuing.
All right, last question on stormwater. You've agreed via the correspondence back and forth with our office and at TRC, you're going to provide an updated stormwater maintenance plan as part of the stormwater rule requirements, and township engineering is going to review and approve that as well.
Yes, we agree to provide that if the board grants us approval.
That's correct. Terry also will share any of the stormwater-related items that are required by the DEP in connection with our flood hazard area permit or development.
Could you point out where
Thank
the
you.
wetlands are in relation to the,
So this is one of the beginning of plans. The wetlands actually work their way towards the Raritan River. It's actually a pretty extensive mitigation that was done by Epic Polymers as part of their remediation of the site.
But again, they are not part of either the Woodbridge Energy Center project or the Keating Energy
so
Center
I just
project.
want to know where they were.
No, understood, for the rest of the public's benefit.
Anyone else? Thank you. Oh, you had more than my.
I saw a little bit more to go. Okay, so just for security of the site, there's a 8-foot high chain link fence that's around the entire perimeter of the site, so the site is secured. In addition to that, the Woodbridge Fire Department has signed off on fire suppression system at the Woodbridge Energy Center, and they've approved Knox box and padlock locations. During construction of the Woodbridge Energy Center, during construction of the Keys Energy Center, I just want to touch on the fact that the Woodbridge Energy Center will have access either through roadway number 2, which I'm highlighting, or roadway number 3. So there will always be access to the site for staff as well as emergency vehicles.
And then just to be clear again, we'll have our planner testify again in the next question, but we talked about the common access driveway, this shared access driveway, correct?
Correct.
And the subdivision line, can you indicate how that is in relation to the driveway?
So the subdivision line between the two properties is actually between roadway number 4, it's going to be shared access for both the Woodbridge facility and the Keystone facility. So as such, there is a 0 setback, where a 10-foot internal setback will be required for each other's roadway.
So in other words, in order to allow the access drive to serve both properties, it's necessary to have the right against the property line, which results in a 0 setback, where 10 foot would be required. Normally, property would have to be 10 foot over the property line.
Correct, and we still meet the roadway width as required from the redevelopment plan, 24 feet as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of,
No, I asked, nobody asked.
If we can, I'd like to then call our planner, once again, just to, for this second part of this first application, just discuss the sidewalk, show the access to the variance.
Swear testimony about the board in this matter on the second phase of this application, 1825. Swear testimony about the board in this matter.
I do.
Give me your name and just for the record.
Margata Apte, as an ABD.
Ms. Apte, you have testified before this board, you've been qualified as a professional planner by this board, correct?
Yes.
We ask that you
Qualified.
recognize. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Apte, with respect to this application, you provided some testimony earlier on in connection to the subdivision. We were specifically talking about the access driveway location and the variance that is technically created by using that as a shared driveway. Can you again provide the board with your view, professional opinion, the benefits of granting this variance in this situation and why it outweighs the other?
Sure. Again, it's one variance and it is a C2 variance that we are requesting. So what I'm talking about at the beginning is the positive criteria, which is the benefits of granting this variance will promote the purposes of the municipal land use law. There are a couple of purposes or goals of the municipal land use law that are furthered with this variance, granting of this variance. The first is the goal A, to encourage municipal action to guide appropriate use, which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Obviously, this variance will lead to Woodbridge Energy Center being functioning as an operating power plant, and that is one of the clean in-state generation of power service, which is required in the state of New Jersey. Further granting of this variance will further the goal H and M, which is promoting free flow of traffic, which will be furthered by this internal roadway being provided. It's also an efficient use of land, since we just subdivided and we are promoting the existing use. And it will further the goal G, which is to provide sufficient space in appropriate location for variety of users. As testified by the professional engineer before me, the site itself meets most of the above variances. It's only this internal roadway setback that is not met. So it does provide the use in appropriate location and in further support.
So in your view, that those are the reasons why it advances the purpose of zoning, if this were to be granted. Also, the impact of the roadway in terms of very low employee counts. You propose the facilities, although there are many jobs, construction jobs created, 500 for PV, heard Mr. Clark, 600 at the time for the Woodbridge Energy Center originally. The permanent employees are a much lower number. So therefore, in your view, have you evaluated the impact of a single access drive being to efficiently serve these two facilities with such low traffic volume?
I believe that is correct, and also the internal roadway would also serve as a good access for emergency services, which might be required in case of any emergency that happens.
Mr. Chairman, there's a question I have for a minute.
Oh, I do have to testify.
Oh, the negative criteria, sorry, yes, I think. The negative criteria, again, the negative criteria would be whether or not the granted variance would be substantially detrimental to the public good, or substantially detrimental to the municipal zone plan or the redevelopment plan. Do you have an opinion with respect to that again?
Yes. The first aspect is there is no substantial detriment to the zone plan. As testified and as I stated before, this plan furthers the redevelopment, EPEC redevelopment goals. The site itself, even though it's modified with the subdivision, it doesn't require any bulk variances. The only variance it needs is the internal roadway. That's what we're asking for. So there is in turn no substantial detriment to the zone plan or the plan.
There's no,
Yes. There is no substantial detriment to the public good. Again, it's very technical in the nature. There is minimal impact that will happen with this internal roadway on the public access, and in turn there will be a minimal impact on public good.
so in your professional opinion, are the positive and negative criteria for C2 variance relief adequately addressing this case?
Yes, I believe so. I believe that granting of this variance will be beneficial, and benefits will substantially outweigh the detriments.
Sure.
Any questions of the witness?
I just want to clarify something, maybe I missed it, but did you address, assuming I have this correct, okay, and there's one, well, for the minimum front setback at 47.1 feet.
We did not address that. That is the next.
That's for the next, the Keys B. That's for the Keys B set plan.
Woodbridge Energy Center does not have a setback there.
Yeah.
I thought we were dealing with 1825, so.
Yes.
How long is the other? I guess.
This is the subdivision and the solar, okay? And that is the Woodbridge existing commission site. The setback variance relates to the new application.
I'm just saying that setback is listed in the 1825 report.
I combined everything.
The other one.
So any of the other relief that you're seeking will be addressed in the companion application?
That is correct.
That would be 1826?
Double check that, just to make sure it's not
I need that to be accurately reflected, because if I'm looking at the transcript, I don't know what I'm reading.
That is, again, our testament is there, it's in our notice, it's in our
Okay.
application, but I will,
I don't go by the notice on it.
understand.
Possible do that. Just tell me that fault is 1826 will deal with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, counsel, just tell us the relief on what she just testified to.
This,
The record's clear when I look to view it. If that's necessary.
the variance that we have requested is to allow for the
Internal roadway?
internal roadway. I wasn't clear if Mr. Ali had asked the question of the subdivision, I wasn't sure the board had necessarily addressed that with the subdivision, but to address your question about what relief is necessary as a result of the subdivision, we provide testimony in connection with the site. So, again, either way, we, with respect to the subdivision and the amended site plan approval, we have the variance related to the separation distance between the lot line and the internal access road.
And for the subdivision, we needed the variance of West Street.
Okay, so everything in Mr. Bignell's July 24, 2008, 18 report in B, C, D,
Applies to new construction.
5,
new power plant.
as well as 6 applies to the 26.
That is correct.
Is that your case?
That's our case, unless the board wants any other testimony.
Well, the other two you gave me was generation timeline and grade water line.
That's the next application. And that, as you heard from the testimony, this is the existing power plant. All those approvals and improvements in place, it is operating. The new power plant will have a facility, a new gray water line, and a new electric transmission. That will be the next application.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
You keep mentioning Metuchen and Edison, Sayreville,
Yes.
Woodbridge. Do you have documentation from all of these as to, should this be approved, that they're on board?
They are outside agency approvals that are condition of the approval. We have, and we've provided professionals, there's a laundry list of approvals that are playing. This is actually our first public hearing for a local approval. We will be hearing in Edison, we will be hearing in Saraville, as we did last time as well. Any approval that is required to develop the project, and it's only for the new application, because this doesn't, Edison and Saraville have no jurisdiction over the subdivision or the amended site plan here, because we're not changing anything in their borough, or their township. But any application that is required for approval will be a condition of this approval, not in this proposed resolution, under this mandate, and it's required by the municipal land use law. You'll hear the KEYSB application. We have an application for the DEP land use regulation program. There will be a modification to the permit for this site because of the changes, and you've heard testimony and dialogue between our engineers along those lines. There is outside approval of our conditions for this approval. The zoning construction office and judge will require that all that be demonstrated and provided in order for us to get building permits for this project.
Is that public hearing?
So anyone raise your right hand? It's kind of an application, swear the testimony about the importance matters.
I do.
That's
George
what-
Baca, Hope Line, New Jersey. Am I safe to talk about we talk about flooding, correct? And how you were taking care of flood water and stuff like that, stormwater? Stormwater kind of thing. I don't see any meteorological or storm data presented before you. Does this site apply to a floodplain? How is this site impacted during Superstorm Sandy? I've read that there are 14-foot berms around the plant. Am I correct saying that? There's earthen berms?
The berms, the slurry walls and berms are part of the environmental remediation that are intended to encapsulate the water as it's being pumped and treated as part of the overall remediation. As indicated in our application, as indicated in the professional review letters, we asked what outside agency approvals are required for this project. The Woodbridge Energy Center, as approved today, has approvals from Township, from Edison Township, from Saraville Borough, from the DEP Land Use Regulation Program, from the FAA, from DEP regarding air permitting, from the Army Corps of Engineers, and from the US EPA. These approvals are all in place now. We're not making any changes to this facility that affects any of the other approvals other than the local approval here and our DEP multi-permit issued by the DEP. That's only because of the change in the stormwater and the combination of the new keys we say coming into play. We've been working with the DEP for a year and a half now in addressing these issues, and we'll have a formal application approved by them hopefully soon. But again, that's part of the overall process.
My question to the planning board council here, and to the gentleman here is, how would a plant, such a large plant like this, you're doubling in size, fare during a storm such as Superstorm Sandy, Cat 4, Cat 5? We do have a tidal, a river there. We do have storm surge. I don't know what the exact amount of the storm surge was going up the Raritan, but I mean, it was pretty substantial. Do we have that data here before the?
Just about
Yeah.
So flood hazard area in this location is at elevation 14. The Woodbridge Energy Center site, the administration building is at elevation 20.5, which is about 6.5 feet above that flood elevation. The lowest portion of the roadway is at elevation 18.42, which is still 4 feet above. And most of the plant equipment is at elevation 20, so they're 6 feet above the flood hazard elevation.
And how quickly can a plant such as this be safe and evacuated in the event? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but these things do happen in the event of a Superstorm Sandy or like a Cat 4 or a Cat 5 in the area. Do we have that data, how the plant can be safe?
Let me just say that again, what we're talking about is an existing plant that is operating now. We're not asking any approvals.
I'm not asking for hypothetical.
But I think in terms of
saving the plant and saving the residents in town, because I understand you're going to have hydrogen stored on the plant, we're gonna get that
The
later.
materials handling, that's not an issue. That if you're talking simply a matter of closing the plant or not closing the plant, we can probably provide that information in terms of
Yes,
any event. But their materials handling, there's nothing here that's going to be significantly different than anything else along these lines. This is not a plant that generates toxic waste or anything along those lines at all. We're dealing with a low-level facility that takes natural gas and has backup fuel like any other industrial facility they have. Andrew, in terms of emergency management, who is responsible for that for the Woodbridge Energy Center?
He has to come.
Yeah, come forward here. You have to be sworn in. But they weren't, you were sworn here. Yeah.
There's
Did
emergency.
you consider yourself to be sworn in as you were?
He was sworn for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's our first witness. Andrew Urquhart, can you?
There will be an emergency maintenance plan in place. And there is to the existing facility. That's responsible.
Speak up, sir.
That's responsible for the plant operations team.
There'll be no on-site like firefighting equipment or basic type of rescue vehicle or anything like that that would supplement the local police and fire departments. It'll be just,
Yeah, Mr. Mazin. Mr. Mazin.
So what will be on site is, there's going to be a fire hydrant network, which is approved. We've actually changed the layout in conjunction with the fire officials' request. But the applicant will not have any firefighting equipment of his own emergency vehicle on site. So we're relying on the
local municipality, okay. Okay, and we could talk about the security on the site. I understand that some of the chain link fencing will be 8 feet tall, is that correct?
It is existing 8 feet tall now.
Okay, and some of this will be like 50 feet away from a public access road. I would recommend you go to at least 12 feet, because in this day and age, you don't know what happens, okay? And I would ask for an increase in security at this site, okay? And in the accessible and inaccessible areas, some razor wire, because you're creating, you can't have it.
Not just
On this tab, you can't have it.
specifically not permitted.
Specifically not permitted. You tell the junkyard.
Nowhere.
Tell the junkyards that. Well,
Nowhere. Okay. Well, either it's grandfathered in or it's not legal.
well, any other method of security, whether, like I said, cameras and stuff like that, I would really suggest that you increase the mandatory to get the fence height from 8 feet to 12 foot. 8 foot,
We, sir, don't have anything in front of us from any of our own people, our own professionals, fire department, police, that suggest that.
Why not?
They reviewed it, and no one has said that they should have a 12-foot fence. I don't think there's a 12-foot fence in town.
This is the existing facility that
It's the
operates.
existing
That's our
8-foot
operating now,
fence
8-foot
facility's
fence
there.
You've been lucky so far.
All right, is there anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I assume for the current plans, you have contingency plans as well as disaster recovery plan
We
in
do.
operation?
We do.
You do your drills routinely?
I'm sorry, I
You
couldn't.
do drills routinely, disaster recovery, contingency, et cetera?
We do. We do.
Yeah.
Mr. Urquhart can answer that. It's better coming from you. The disaster plan, the disaster recovery plan, the emergency management plan, you are required to have on-site drills and emergency management operations.
That's correct, yes.
So that should satisfy the gentleman's question.
Well, whatever like that. This is the one what they had in the newspaper that you advertised. The modification phase will include the development of set-down areas for the location of demineralization and hydrogen storage trailers and alternative future combined. This is for the KV Energy Center. Can I comment on that here?
This is actually for this facility. Those are modifications they made here to be shared between the two facilities.
What is the hydrogen being used, and what is the capacity of these trailers? Will there be a tank farm there? And, when I think of hydrogen, I think Hindenburg, and I mean, how many trailers are we gonna have there, and what is it gonna be the capacity here?
There's going to be one trailer there, and we'll know about capacity. That's something that comes from the internal plant management. It's not really a site plan item, but it's basically just a tank system that's on the trailer. It's basically no more than probably a estimated.
8,000 gallon cubic feet, are we talking, I mean, hydrogen is a very volatile gas, and you're going to have people in a park. Is this going to be all-time storage of hydrogen at the site, or is this going to be sporadic?
Or, I'd have to speak with the,
Yeah. I hate to bring this up, but, you know.
Well, again, this is a
Yeah.
trail that comes to and from the property, as needed. We're trying to figure out if we can give you an answer to that. This is a
If not now,
removal.
yeah.
No, but I'd like to
Yeah.
make it covered, because this is for an existing
Yeah.
facility.
the hydrogen trailer will have 60,000 cubic feet of storage.
Okay, so it's only one trailer or multiple trailers, and is there any tanks that you will offload this hydrogen gas to, or is it just going to be stored in the trailer?
It's just going to be stored in the trailer. It's going to be utilized within the site with the plant management operations, but it will be secure so they will use one tank at a time to be properties.
And it's not permanent, it's a location brought in and utilized.
And then evacuated and then taken out. The plant personnel is very well versed in the operation of these trailers, I'm sure they are. But I'm just concerned how far this trailer is going to be from the park. Do we know, or did the Woodbridge waterfront park, do we know, or is there any specific mileage? Is it a quarter mile, half a mile, and, you know?
There's not a specific mileage, but from the bottom, from the plant to the rack river is approximately half a mile. And the hydrogen storage tank will be right here in the middle, it'll be dead center of the plant. So it's not easily accessible, you have to go into the middle of the site.
Well, you said,
The plant is right there.
you said hydrogen storage tank?
Trailer.
Trailer? All right. Something we got to watch over there, and I'm sure you're having the local fire companies and everybody brought up to speed, emergency management and stuff like that.
It's all part of the process.
Yeah, I'm sure that they, there's hydrogen stored around the township and stuff like that, to introduce something like that.
We have a fire report, there's nothing on there.
And the demineralization, what is that used for? What is it, was it a process or what?
It's a process, that would be more plant management.
Yeah, well, I'll find out later on, but, that hydrogen kind of spooks me and the people, like, we got that right over here. Okay, thank you very much.
You left your bottle there.
Bob,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Take your H2O. Where we at? Huh? He has
It was the first public one.
Okay, good.
Finish with your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Public hearing, anybody here on the second phase?
Want to raise your right hand? Swear to testimony about to give the ordinance, Massachusetts, so you got?
Yeah.
Now your name and address.
Jimmy Romero, 100 Bear Street, Brunswick. So we're still talking about the,
How are you interested in this matter? Do you have property affected by this plant?
I breathe the air that is emitted, that is mixed with the emission from this plant, the current plant. So yes.
Breathe the air. Let me just, hang on a second. I just want to make certain that you are an interested party under 4055D-4. Familiar with that?
Very familiar.
So, other than breathing the air, do you have any other property aspects that are affected by this application?
I have
Any
appointments.
any property rights or anything of that nature? It's so that your position is that you have a right to speak here because you breathe the air from this plant.
That is correct, and I will breathe the air from the additional plant.
Do we have anything in front of us with respect to the air quality that comes from this plant?
Could you rephrase the question?
Do we have anything in front of us with respect to the air quality that comes from this plant that would authorize you to testify in this matter as an interested party under the municipal land use law?
CPV currently testified about the energy master plan, and I'd like to address that, and how the current plan met the energy master plan. of the DEP under Governor Christie. Any comment on that?
Say that again?
I would
You
like
mean
to
the ex-Governor Christie?
I would like to respond to the permits that were granted
How are we?
previously and to show their relation to,
We're not, come on. We're not a permitting agency. We're a local land use board.
and I would like to.
We are not going
comment.
to recreate the energy code here. It's not within our jurisdiction. We're not going to be discussing permits that were granted by other agencies, be they local, state, or federal. It's not happening. We cannot address those issues for you, sir. If you wanted us to consider whether permits were or were not issued or should have been issued, then you should have sent it to our professionals. Anybody who's an interested party that is defined under the municipal land use law can do so, because these matters are on file 10 days before the hearing. So what is it exactly you want this board to do with whatever information you intend to impart upon us?
I'm here to provide information about power plants that have been proposed throughout the state and are currently under review, and I believe that they have relation to whatever facilities, roadways, what have you, that this town, this body here, will be granting for this power plant and the.
You understand, we don't issue permits for power plants. I mean,
I understand this.
there are other agencies that do that.
I certainly.
So why are you not before them as opposed to us?
The commenting periods for these other agencies have not started. You are the first body that will be reviewing any type of approval, to my understanding.
Yes,
I may be
but
wrong.
we do not operate with the same standards that you're going to apparently provide to us. Whether they're accurate or not, I have no clue. We're guided by the terms and conditions of the local zoning ordinance. This is a permitted use. If it wasn't, he wouldn't be here. He'd be in front of another board. We have multiple agencies that have reviewed this matter. We have our own professional staff, fire and police. Have you reviewed that?
We found out about this project.
Let me ask you a
less than
question.
week
Have
ago.
you reviewed what's been on file 10 days before this hearing?
I came to the planning board office, I believe.
What did you look at?
And I looked at the applications that were submitted.
You looked at the plans.
I did.
Did you read the reports?
I took pictures of the reports, and I find it unfortunate that it was not provided on the website, on the city's website, for folks to review, that they had to have a subscription to a newspaper to even see the notice.
Well, we can't help you with that.
You're doing the minimum.
The question was, did you had an opportunity to obtain the reports?
I did. I did, by driving.
You would
to
agree,
the
you
City
would
Hall
agree
office.
there is nothing in those reports that talk about air quality. Nothing.
And I want to make sure that the board is aware of potential air quality impact.
Well, what is your background? Do you have any professional or technical background with respect to air quality coming from a power plant?
I am with Food and Water Watch. We are an environmental nonprofit that has been around New Jersey for 10
I
years.
want to know about
And I
power
represent-
plant. I want to know what
And I represent
qualifications
Food
you
and
have.
Water Watch, who has various staff members on,
What do you have?
experts.
What qualifications do you have that I should permit you to tell this board about air quality issues?
I have reviewed through, I do not have technical expertise on air emissions. That,
So you're a
That's-
layperson. You would agree that? That,
I am a citizen of New Jersey.
okay.
So
So let me ask you a question. Try to give me an idea of what you're going to tell us, and what do you expect us to do with that?
I understand you're providing counsel to the board.
Yeah, I don't want
But you're
them
not
to
providing
hear, I don't
counsel.
want, my job is to make sure they hear things that are relevant and material and permitted under the land use law, and not have them sidetracked on issues that is outside their jurisdiction.
And I understand that
For
whatever,
example, if you ask them, okay, I want you guys to enforce the fire codes, no, the fire department enforces the fire code. We will make a condition of any approval subject to review and approval by the fire department, by the DEP, by other agencies over whom we have no control. This case would be no different. And counsel for the applicant's already given you a litany of them. So I don't want, I let the public say pretty much anything. It has to do with the legal, factual issues that we're entitled to. I suspect you're not going to give us any of that.
I'm sorry to suspect that.
I already heard you once.
Clairvoyant?
You did not let me finish.
You're out of order, sir.
Yeah.
Do not speak again. Okay? So you're up here and sworn. So, what are you going to tell us about? I'm going to give you a fair shot, because I like to be fair, but I want to be correct. I don't want them deciding cases on information they have no business hearing.
You're fully privileged.
What are you going to tell us about?
Thank you.
What? No, don't tell me thank you and read your stuff. It's not happening. You tell me, give me a synopsis of what you think you're going to tell us. What is it about?
I want to talk about the current emissions that are coming out of the current power plants and the emissions that we can face.
We don't have control
Close
over that. We're not going to hear that.
I just want to make sure that the board knows.
Sir, we're not going to hear
I
that.
think the board
You
should
are not-
really know
Sir,
that the American
Let's not
Association.
talk over each other. You're not qualified, and we're not going to hear it. That's like you telling me you want to give me testimony about radio frequency interference. It's not happening, and you are not qualified.
You're blocking a member
Is
of
there
the
any
public.
blocking a member of the public?
You're blocking a member
It's
of the
questionable whether you have standing under the land use law to even talk like this. But I'm giving you that right now because you're actually talking to me. But the fact remains, you must give us relevant material that has something to do with what we do here in our decision-making process. And what you've told me does not. We're not going to talk about power plant emissions generally. It's not, because it's not happening.
You have not let me speak.
And I'll tell you where New Brunswick Superior Court is right down in New Brunswick. That's the Superior. If you disagree with me, you can sue us, and we'll find out the correct answer to that. Right now, I'm not going to waste the court's time about you giving me unqualified information that you have no factual or legal basis to provide to us.
So as counsel of this board, you are not allowing me to speak. You
I'm not-
single-handedly
no,
are not allowing me to speak.
Sir, your time is concluded.
There you go.
Thank you for coming.
Anyone else on public?
Phase two. You swear the testimony you're about to give the board in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Your name and
Your
address.
name and your,
Your name and address.
Charles Prattville.
Your address.
I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today,
I want your address, your
P.O.
own
Box.
address.
3180, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Okay, what? How are you affected or interested? I'm going to give you the same information about, because I'm questioning whether or not you actually have standing in this case. Other than the fact, you can look at the courts, I'm not sure you can do that. You're with the news, okay? But
Correct.
the news is different than coming up here and testifying as somebody who is a quote-unquote interested party under the land use law. If you're not an interested party under the land use law, you really don't have jurisdiction to speak. So under 4055B-4, tell me, give me a second.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a few simple
Sir.
questions. I'm interested
Sir.
in getting answers to my
Sir.
questions. May I, Mr. Chairman? The
I'm
chairman wants me
looking
to
at
say.
the law.
getting legal advice, you know?
Okay.
It's not going to happen your way. It's not. Okay? Don't be rude and pretend I'm not here and just focus on it.
Sir, I have not been
Don't
rude.
be rude.
you're the one being rude.
Okay, well, I guess whoever looks at that video will answer that.
You got a question?
Sir, you're out of order, you can't do that. Let the record reflect, stuck your tongue out. That's not nice either.
Taxpayers.
Let's get this moving along, okay?
So, I want you to tell me whether or not, how you're interested in this case.
I am a citizen of the United States.
Excuse me, let me read it. Let me read it for you, because you may not have heard it. Because we do hear people that reside outside the municipality. There's no question we do. However, there are rules that we're bound by. May not have read them, but we'll hear any person residing, I'm reading the statute now, whether residing within or without the municipality whose rights to use, acquire, or enjoy property. Use, acquire, or enjoy property. That's what we're dealing with, property here. Subject under any other law of the state or the United States which has been denied by a letter of infringement by action or a failure to act. So, do you have any rights to use, acquire property that are impacted by this application? If so, tell us and put it on the record.
I don't understand what you said. I came here because I have some questions for this board about the application that is before.
Here's what I'm trying to explain
And
to you, sir.
Yes,
Rules.
sir.
Let's go back to the rules.
Yep,
If you came in from San Francisco and you wanted to testify at this hearing about this case, we're not going to be hearing you.
Why is that?
Because you're not an interested party under the municipal land use law. So I want to know on the record, I'm asking you on the record for this information. So somebody who's reviewing this record, if that ever happens, will know what you claim is your right, use, or property that's being infringed by this application. Can you tell us that?
So I am going to explain why I am here tonight.
I asked you a question. Can you answer that?
I don't understand the question you're asking.
You don't? You seem like an intelligent guy. You're a Rutgers graduate. You're a graduate of journalism. You are an editor or a newspaper guy for 7 years. You're running for mayor in New Brunswick. You're an intelligent guy.
Thank you.
So, I think you understood exactly what I asked you. Can you answer it?
I am here as an interested party because I am a U.S. citizen, a Middlesex County resident, and a journalist who is writing an article about this very hearing that's happening
Okay,
right
that
now.
doesn't qualify.
I'm also
You can sit
documenting it
back
on
there,
video.
sir. You can sit back there, do whatever you want, you can attend the hearings, you can listen. The question is whether or not you are qualified to come up here and give us information or whatever it is you want to ask us questions when you probably are not an interested party in this.
I just explained my interest. You can disagree about whether or not I'm an interested party.
If it's just a journalistic interest, sir, you really don't have, you don't have standing. We call that standing. You don't have it.
Well,
So that gives you the
I'll
right,
point out for the
gives you the right
record that I was
everybody else here.
permitted to
Hang on, I'll finish.
speak at
then
the
you can
prior
talk.
hearing, and
We
I was
can't all
told
talk at the same time.
to wait
Sir,
with my
sir,
questions and bring my
next
questions to
question,
this
too.
hearing.
You're
And
gonna
now
have
I'm
to
here
move.
at this hearing with my questions, and I've been
Move.
respectful.
Let's do this in a human manner, okay?
So, if you cannot answer my question as to what I just read you, then you have nothing relevant or material to tell us. And if you want to write a news article, go right ahead, you're free to do that. But testifying, in this case, is a different story. So you don't live in Woodbridge, you live in New Brunswick.
Guilty.
You have
Guilty
enough.
as charged.
I didn't say that, you said that. So, what I'm saying to you is that, you have to come before us and have some right or property just as affected by this application. You don't have that. But be that as it may, I'm going to give you a few minutes anyway. I'm going to err on the side of conservatism, but if you start talking politically, it's not going to happen. You want to give us something relevant about this case or ask a relevant question? I'll try to accommodate. What's the question?
Well, my first question is a procedural question. I would like to understand whether this hearing covers both the Woodbridge Energy Center, which I understand is going to get outfitted with some solar panels if approved, or the Caseby Energy Center, which I understand will be a brand new gas-fired power plant, or both. It's been unclear from what's been said on the record.
Well, there's
whether
two
this is
applications.
one-
There's two applications.
Right, so this hearing is about which one or both.
Maybe you better answer. This is the Woodbridge case. So let him be clear and tell you.
The board, the first action by the board was to approve the subdivision, creating a new lot, without future development. In creating the new lot,
For the new plan.
the new plan, which is the next application, not this one.
So there'll be an additional hearing.
This hearing now is for the modifications to the existing lot, resulting from the subdivision and some proposed improvements on that property, including most significantly the solar.
And I do think that solar power is a great thing, and I'd like to understand the total amount of electricity that is expected to be produced from these panels.
How much?
Yeah, approximately how much electricity will be generated from this additional.
We don't have, we're still, we don't have a final number, we're still dealing with the material and contractors. This will allow for that next step, just the detailed construction for the level. So we don't know offhand what it will actually be as part of what we're looking for. Yeah, we don't want to test by.
Understood. And how many panels total? I saw one section was 560 something, the other, I forget how many total panels will it be?
Mr. Massey can repeat those numbers, but again, we made it very clear that that actual panel number could be subject to change based upon the design, the equipment that comes into play, but largely just to include the areas for that solar, and a construction permitting will get into the detail related to that. But generally, a rough number.
For the newer solar panel areas, are approximately 510 panels. And on top of the roof mounted panels, the administration only approximately 524.
Subject to change follows.
Thank you. Can anyone tell me approximately how much electricity the gas power plant produces?
Mr. Urquhart testified to that a couple minutes ago, and 12 million megawatts of electricity has been produced, operating at 77% capacity.
Okay. And can anyone tell me approximately how much pollution the current plant produces?
The DEP has issued an air permit for the current plant, which meets the state-of-the-art requirements at the time. It's being also looked at now in connection with the regional background levels for the new Keystone plant. So the DEP will be holding a public hearing on the Keystone plant, which will also involve taking into account the original Keystone plant.
Okay.
And any approval this board issues is subject to any outside agency, including the DEP.
Understood. And so does the owner of the plant monitor the emissions themselves, or is it solely the regulators that do that?
We are required to provide reports, we monitor equipment, there's monitoring standards, we have to meet those standards or there's real penalties to meet.
Okay. And so could I get an approximate figure for those emissions? I know the plant's been open for more than a year now.
I can't provide that to you at this point. It's what the permit would allow, which again is below the thresholds that would be under federal law that the state of New Jersey holds.
So the testimony is that there have been no exceedances or violations with the Woodbridge Energy Center.
At this facility, that's good.
And I guess since there's an additional hearing on the Caseby Energy Center, I hope that the board will see fit to allow testimony from any member of the public that would like to give it. I think that the municipal land use law gives citizens the right to attend these meetings, to videotape these meetings, and to speak their mind at these meetings and ask questions at these meetings, and I think that
Well, there are limits, and I think I discussed them with you already. I've permitted you wide latitude. You know, I know all of these regulations are subject to agencies that we have no control over.
I would disagree with the
Is there
wide
anything else?
latitude characterization.
I'm sure that you disagree with a lot of stuff.
I do think that the public deserves better, and the board should be open to hearing testimony from anybody who wants to come out, and your attorney, quite frankly, has
We have rules.
given the board a bad name by being combative,
Okay,
by
thank you,
misstating
sir.
the law about
Sir?
videotaping meetings.
Really?
Yes, Taurus v. Pine Hill Borough is
So,
the case
fine,
that controls
rules there.
the
You
right.
know, we're New Brunswick,
the right-
if you don't like what I said.
Well, I'm
Thank you,
sorry,
sir. Do you have anything else to tell us?
I think you need a new attorney.
Yeah, thank you. We need new journalists too.
Motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion.
Second. All in favor? Public portion is now closed. Further testimony, further objector. I'd like to make a motion on this, second.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, to make the record perfectly clear, this is application P 1825, the second part, a modification to the previously approved subdivision. This application complies again with the master plan. It meets the zoning and redevelopment plan also. There is one variance, the internal roadway. Testimony provided by the applicant clearly demonstrates the C2 variance was met, and the variance can be granted because the benefit outweighs the detriments. Our engineer was very happy with the stormwater management, and based upon that testimony, I make a motion to approve the application.
We have a second.
Ms. Strong?
Yes.
Mr. Sharkey?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes, I'd like to have all that documentation that whenever you receive it from all the different sources.
We certainly will. Again, we supply that to your zoning officer or your zoning permit, you'll have that.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Creed?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Mr. Colonna?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
And Ms. Lewis? Yes. Application is granted.
Just against power. All right, so, well, the next issue is, it's almost 10 to 10. The question is this going to take anything like the first one we took? Probably not. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Our testimony, I believe, we've established most of what's there, and quite honestly, if the review of this is probably shorter in some ways than the others. So our presentation can be short. I cannot speak for the public, would be thereafter, but again, you've got a lot of the background.
I think we have a good idea where that's going.
So that, again, our intention would be to present the application and provide the testimony requested by your board professional, but this is pretty straightforward.
Okay, let's move on.
Give it a shot. It gets too late, you know. We normally don't go past 10. So you just get to work for a living. What's that? Well, that doesn't mean you don't do it till 10:15. I mean, look, you guys decide what you want to do. I'll do whatever you want to do.
Normally, we leave at 10:15. However,
I don't want
To bring
anybody. I don't want
everybody
anybody thinking this. You know, you don't have enough time to do what you want. So, you know, you can give it a shot. If it doesn't happen, if you're not good at 10:15, then I'm telling you right now, it's not at 10:15. I can tell you, it's not going to be at 10:15. But you know, you can start. The question is, do you want to start it? And since typically, I think our bylaws say 10 o'clock. Some boards will be up till 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't.
it's 10:15.
No, do you want to start, or do you want to carry it and do it all in one shot?
if the board is amenable, we're going to try to do a shot.
Okay, let's go. First witness. All right, let's stipulate all the reports once again. They're all the same, right? They don't? Ladies?
The same stipulation that we stipulate, we review them, we provide a response to professionals, we provide after the fact letters to the board, and we have no problem addressing all of the comments in the manner that we describe professionals reports to the board.
All right, hang on. They're not the same. Can I have, I'm sorry.
Please report as well.
The only one that's different is the police report. It's Chairman here.
Sorry, it's gotta be.
All right, so let's, but everything else is the
Excuse me,
same.
Chairman, we have two reports, one for each document. They're very
Let's do it by
similar.
the
You
book.
have
I've heard
both.
enough. Let's do it by the book, okay? This is P18-26, and I ask you to stipulate into the record, in evidence, the following reports. The Big Mill Planning Report, July 24, 2018. The Engineer Report for Remington and Vernon, August 1, 2018. The Fire Report dated July 1st, 2018. The Police Report dated June 25, 2018. The TRC Report dated July 30, 2018. And Redevelopment Resolution dated June 13, 2018. I assume you agree that all those will be made part of the record and entered into evidence, is that correct?
We do. We reviewed, received, responded, and we agreed that it was part of the record, and we will follow through as we respond.
And similarly, you agree to comply with all the terms and conditions contained in those reports?
We do in the manner that we described in our response.
All right. Who's,
I'd like to call Mr. Massey, but I maybe streamline it just to tell the board quickly that this application is for a request for preliminary final site plan approval for the development of the Keysby Energy Center project on the lot that the board has approved and created. Also for the development of a portion of the generation tie line, the electrical transmission line that leaves the site in Woodbridge and ultimately goes to Edison, and the gray water line, which ultimately goes through Woodbridge and goes into Saraville. So those are the improvements, and we'll get into more detail on that quickly. That's basically what we're looking for. The bulk variance approvals we've talked about related to this application are for the requirements of the EPIC redevelopment plan, would be to allow a front yard setback of 47.1 feet, where 50 feet would be required in connection with a proposed water tank in relation to the proposed future roadway, which is to be identified as Calaric Drive. So we have a variance of less than 3 feet that we're asking for. The internal shared access driveway variance, which we talked about, I think is probably gets collectively covered, but it comes into play with respect to this as well, because it's less than 10 feet. And a landscape buffer, which we talked about as well, that we cannot provide. We would ask for relief in that because of the nature of the industrial equipment facility. So that is the relief that we're asking for.
what about the lighting?
And the proposed light poles to be 30 feet in height, and a maximum 20 feet market height is permitted, and the existing poles that were approved for the Woodbridge Energy Center are 30 feet. So those are the four.
How many poles are there? That you propose at 30 feet?
As part of this project, there are 5 poles that are being relocated on the Woodbridge Energy Center, on the Keysby Energy Center site. There's 5 that are
Let's start off with, okay, first of all, let's get sworn in for this application, identify yourself and record.
Right, so raise your right hand, sir. Swear testimony before the board in this matter.
I do.
Darren,
Qualify you, previously qualified.
Thank you. Okay, referring to Exhibit A5, the question is, how many poles do we need relief to allow a 30-foot height rather than 20 feet on the Keysby Energy Center site? And you started to say that we're relocating 30-foot poles from the Woodbridge site to Keysby.
There are 15 poles located on the site. There will be 5 new poles. 5 poles will be existing, not to be relocated, and then there will be 5 poles that will be relocated. So it'll be 5 total new poles.
And
The other one's just to be moved around.
Moving around and just for new poles.
And there are already 30-foot poles, correct, that have previously been approved.
We previously granted you variance for the height of poles.
That's correct.
In 2013?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is that everything?
That's the relief.
That's what I want to
That's the
understand.
relief. There's 4 items. Again, setback, 47.1 feet rather than 50, the internal access, 0 setback, and the proposed light poles will be 30 feet when 20 feet is required. and
Landscaping.
and landscape buffer. Okay? Okay, Ms. Mazzi, with respect to the application, I've been asked to provide testimony related to specific completeness checklist items. We asked for a waiver, I guess, to allow for the plans to be, to not be 42 inches by 30 inches in size. You just,
So the checklist requirement requires the plans to be 24 by 36 inches to the size of the project, which requesting a waiver to make the plan size 30 by 42 inches.
so we need bigger plans because we have more.
Larger sign.
Okay. We're also asking for a waiver that shows related to screening and storage of equipment attached or separate from buildings. Can you respond to that and explain what that's about?
Sure. So as you can actually see in Exhibit A2, the plant has cooling towers. It has a stack here. The stack is 160 feet high. So any kind of a landscape, 10-foot buffer really do not would screen these areas. But the areas again are still within the economic development requirement both standards.
And again, we've had testimony related to the subdivision application and the location of the property. I went to to exhibit A3, I believe. Just for the record here, the property is located for the frontage of Riverside Drive.
This is A5.
A5, I'm sorry.
Property, Keith Community Center, property on the Riverside, the Conroe right away here, as well as the future Carter Drive public right away.
And again, the shared access driveway.
And there's a shared access driveway between both Woodbridge Energy Center and Keith Energy Center. It's roadway 4 on the exhibit, directly between the two facilities.
And again, we can have Mr. Urquhart testify in more detail, but basically the proposed improvements, can you describe it, or it's a 670 megawatt combined cycle?
It's a 670 megawatt cycle gas-fired electric generating plant. That's going to be similar to the Woodbridge Energy Center. As part of the equipment, there's combustion steam turbines, heat recovery steam generator, mineralized and reclaimed water tanks, a cooling tower, a switchyard, as well as related site improvements, which include a 3,300 square foot warehouse building, landscaping, lighting, driveways, parking areas, and related utilities and stormwater management improvements.
Okay, and Mr. McDowell, Mr. Vogt has asked us to provide some detail related to the compliance with the ethics plan requirements for generating facilities. Can you just provide that information to your question?
Just before I provide that, I'd just like to point out that the variance for the reclaimed water tank is noted on your exhibit as number 4, and that's where we would have a 47.5-foot setback or a 50-foot setback.
And why do we need that variance?
Just with the site layout, it's extremely difficult to move that location tank. It's one of the critical points in pass, and we were coming before the board just because of the minor feature.
Okay, this is adjacent to other industrial property.
Correct.
Not adjacent to the roadway.
It's adjacent to the Skinner industrial property.
Okay. With respect to the compliance with the epic redevelopment plans, the township redevelopment agency did adopt a resolution, which was in our packet, determined that the Keysby Energy Center is consistent with the epic redevelopment plan. Can you provide the information that was requested related to the facility that the professionals asked for?
Sure. The facility itself is going to be a combined cycle gas-fired electric generating plant. It will be using natural gas. As previously mentioned by Bob, treated wastewater will be coming from the MCUA as a gray water line. It's going to be running in a very similar path to the existing 24-inch line that feeds the Keysby Energy Center. This is very beneficial for economic and environmental concerns because this water would be just discharged into the river. Or at this point, it's going to be going to the cooling tower and be utilized for the plant. Any discharge that is there will be sent back to the MCUA. It will not be discharged into the river. The project is also subject to NJDP air quality and noise regulations and permitting.
Again, these are all requirements in the epic redevelopment plan that we have to address in this testimony. This is indicating how we need to address them.
There's no major roadways proposed as far as development. We're going to the interior driveways and the shared driveway as well. Parking facilities are on site and in compliance with the epic redevelopment plan. The Keysby Energy Center will be in compliance with the Woodbridge Township property ordinance as well as in accordance with the site plan. The facility will be operated such that operations, fumes, dust, odor, smoke, vibration, above ambient temperatures will not be detectable on neighboring properties, and this will be an outside agency approval as part of the DEP, and also will include noise regulations.
And there's no outside storage.
And there's no outside storage of materials.
Okay, the The other item you were asked to describe is the stormwater management system. Can you describe that to the board and respond to the professional's questions in that regard?
Sure. So in the previous testimony, we went through what was left as part of the Woodbridge application. Now, there are some modifications to the stormwater system. Originally on the proposed Keysview lot, there were storm drainage swales, which will now be piped with the oversized inlets for the professional's request, and it will discharge into the basin. The basin itself has been reshaped to accommodate the cooling towers, but we still comply with all stormwater regulations, stormwater management regulations, and just to touch on them. For water quality, we're still decreasing the post-runoff rate from the pre-runoff rate. And in fact, they're 50% for 2-year storms, 75% for the 10-year storms.
That's water quantity, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, water quantity. And 80% for 100-year storm. Well, one change we will have to make is we'll have to replace the outlet control structure. That structure is going to be replaced, and the orifice is going to be increased from 12 inches to 21 inches. Now, the outlet does leave with 2 dual 12-inch pipes, which were part of the wetlands mitigation approved by the DP. These will remain, and our structure will tie into it.
And again, just to be clear for the record, these improvements are consistent with the remedial action work plan and work with in conjunction with the remediation of the property and stormwater management along this road.
That's correct, and also the NJDP will review the stormwater management plan as well as the piece.
If I can ask just quickly,
Sure.
the same questions I asked on the earlier application. This design is going to meet the stormwater rule as applicable to this property.
It will.
And your stormwater maintenance plan is going to incorporate this facility as well as the previous facility,
It will.
and subject to review and approval of the engineering department.
It will, subject to approval of the engineering department and approved by us.
Thank you.
And consistent with the DEP report.
Thank you.
Okay. Parking requirements, we're asked to describe and clarify the parking. Can you describe what's happening with parking?
Just to give a little background, as I testified before, the Woodbridge Energy Center has 22 total employees with a maximum shift of 13 employees. The epic redevelopment parking counts would be 16 spots necessary, where there are 20 there, so we'll be in excess of that. The future Keysview Energy Center will have 6 full-time employees with 4 on a maximum shift. So that would yield 6 required spots by the epic redevelopment plan. We are providing 7. So each facility standalone has a part of the parking.
Landscaping and screening. The questions related to the justification for a waiver and again, what landscaping and screening issues come into later. Can you address those issues?
Sure. So, as the preview testified, the Keysview Energy Center is set back considerable distance from Riverside Drive. Just for the board's knowledge, the proposed switch arch, the closest area to Riverside Drive, is approximately 323 feet away from Riverside Drive right away. With regards to the Clark Drive portion, future roadway, there is a 10-foot landscape buffer which we're requesting relief on. The landscape buffer wouldn't really be able to buffer a facility this size, and we would try to limit the landscaping, so we are proposing a gravel in between the fence and the edge of pavement. But as part of the board professional request during the TRC meeting, the fence fabric on the future drive will be green in color. In addition to that, there are no residential facilities close to the facility.
And we are ready for requesting a variance, as you said, for the landscape buffer. Lighting, the proposed lighting poles, we talked about the height.
We talked about the heights, it would just be, again, 5 new poles. 5 poles will remain at 30 feet, and 5 poles will be relocated, they're also 30 feet.
They asked to talk about site identification signs.
Okay, so there's a site identification sign at the intersection of proposed Clark Drive and Road 2. The site plan is on sheet number 20. The sign itself is 40 square feet.
And just very briefly, we were asked to describe the improvements. I've tried to generally give them that is related to generation timeline and the gray pipe water line. Can you just describe those improvements in Woodbridge Junction?
Sure. So I'm going to go to Exhibit A1, which is an overall composite. As you can see, where I'm highlighting the center of this area is the Woodbridge Energy Center and Keith Energy Centers. The electric transmission line is going to go through the northern property boundary, across the common area right away. It's going to be the center median of Riverside Drive, which is the county right away. It's going to be traveling northeast towards Route 440, eventually make its way to the Edison substation. Within Woodbridge Township, there's going to be nine mountain poles installed. They will be varying height from 122 feet to 182 feet. As part of the redevelopment plan for EPIC K2 and K3, 185 structures.
And as I indicated earlier, Mr. Chairman, we've been working closely with the DOT and Turnpike Authority with respect to those outside agency approvals, and we're at a point now where we've got Turnpike Authority approval for our plans. We're almost to the final detail with DOT. So we're comfortable enough showing these poles and these locations within Woodbridge that we will have the approvals to build them and install them in rights of way and avoid private property. Okay, so we talked about the full height justification, gray water line, and I think that's the engineering testimony. Terry, unless you have anything else that you needed from us.
I believe they address it. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, I mean, just for the record, I know we've kicked this around quite a bit with emission control, outside monitoring. For the record, for this application, can you please talk about how internally you monitor emission control, as well as any outside agencies that come in and any sort of violations that have been noted?
Let me talk about the legal requirement component. We are currently in the midst of a long-term discussions and back and forth with permitting applications with the DEP and the US EPA. Those requirements are for the latest state-of-the-art, best available technology that has to be utilized, which changes regularly. So we always have a higher standard of lower emissions we constantly have to meet. We're dealing with that now. It also requires we have to, at different levels, achieve and demonstrate that we're meeting these objectives before we can take the next step and go into commercial operation. And it's an ongoing, consistent monitoring, reporting that's required as part of our air permit that's issued by the DEP and signed off by the US EPA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I could real quickly, I'd like to call our planner again, Zach.
I do.
Your name for the record, please? And you have qualified as a planner?
Qualifier, we'll call it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Anthony, you've heard the representations and the engineering testimony related to the variances or design where you're kind of combining them here that are being requested with the connection with the CPV Energy Center project. In your evaluation and your role as professional planner for this project, have you had the opportunity to review and analyze your relief that's being requested?
Yes, I have, and as stated earlier, there are 4 variances requested with this application. We are requesting them as C2 variances. One is for the front yard setback, one is for the internal roadway, which doesn't have any setback. The third is for the pole height, which is 30 feet, as permitted of, 20 feet, that's permitted. We are proposing 30 feet pole height. And the fourth variance is for the landscape buffer, which is now provided around the Polaric Drive and the future roadway, which would be required to be 10 feet, and we haven't provided that.
With respect to the relief that's been requested with the variance or design waiver, collectively we're treating as variances, have you evaluated the ethics development plan goals, and have you done an analysis with respect to how that C2 criteria you described has been met in this case?
Yes, I have. I would again address first the positive criteria as to how this requesting of these variances furthers or proposal of this plan furthers the goals and purposes of the municipal land use law.
Before we get into that, can you just clarify for the record, is this a permitted use as an electricity production plant or a steam processing generation facility under the ethics development plan?
Yes, as per the EPEC development plan, this is a permitted use.
And are the proposed structures and facilities in your review and your analysis of the redevelopment plan standards, consistent for the most part with the plan, foundation, and location requirements in the redevelopment plan?
Yes, I believe they do comply other than these 4 variances that we are requesting.
You were starting to talk about the positive criteria.
Yes, so overall, there are a couple of purposes of the municipal land use law that are furthered by this application. One is the goal A, which is to encourage municipal action in order to which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, as depicted in the EPEC redevelopment plan and also in the the state EMP, Energy Master Plan, that power generation or power generation facilities are a reliable power service to the public and are, as the usage of energy increases, are one of the required facilities in the state of New Jersey. We believe proposal of this use does further the goal A of the municipal land use law. Another goal that's furthered is goal E, which is promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations in different locations. Again, the redevelopment goal of providing public access along the Choleric Drive to the Raritan River is furthered by this proposal.
And that's because of the dedication of the land area that allowed Choleric Drive to be a municipal right-of-way dedicated to the township.
Yes, that's correct. Another goal that's furthered is goal G, which is to provide sufficient space in appropriate location for a variety of uses. Again, this proposed use of power generation facility, which is a permitted use, and it is also providing public access by dedication of land. And last goal that we believe this application does further is goal M, to provide efficient use of land and to encourage coordination between various public and private procedures in order to shape the land development.
And with respect to the pole heights that are being proposed, in terms of the impact and character of the area, the opinion based on those already out there for the Woodbridge Energy Center,
Yes, I was going to get into that more in the negative criteria. May I talk about that? So the negative criteria would be 2 prongs: no substantial detriment to the public good and no substantial detriment to the zone plan. First, I'll start with the public good. In terms of the pole heights, I believe the existing pole height for the Woodbridge Energy Center is 30 feet. We are merely replicating the similar pole height. And I believe the way the poles have been designed, there will be minimum spillage over onto the additional surrounding sites or surrounding properties. In terms of the landscape buffer, as stated by the professional engineer earlier, the site, the way it sits from Riverside Drive, is about approximately 300-foot setback. We have tried to provide some landscaping along the Choleric Drive and the public access way, but it's not as continuous as a 10-foot buffer would be required. However, we have proposed fencing, and I believe we would be proposing some kind of travel area in order to set back the power generation plant. But as it is the power generation facility, and considering the scale or magnitude of this facility, we believe that the fencing would create visual obstruction enough, although we won't be able to provide the 10-foot buffer. In terms of the internal roadway setback, I think I had previously testified, there is shared services which does benefit in terms of safe travel and transportation between the 2 services and also in exiting the site, which will have minimal public impact. Last but not the least, the setback, the front yard setback. I believe the intent of front yard setback is in order to prepare in order to have a less obstruction and more visibility for vehicles traveling on the right of way. In this, the only portion we don't need is because of the water tower, the way it's been located. And it is set back about 47 feet instead of 50 feet. So visually, it would have very minimal impact on its setback of not meeting the 50 feet variance requirement. Overall, I believe there is no substantial impact on public good with these 4 Now,
Let me just, one question. This unlike the Woodbridge Energy Center involves a new power plant. Have you had an opportunity to review the goals and objectives of the epic redevelopment plan?
yes, sir.
With respect to those goals and objectives for a redevelopment project such as this, a new redevelopment project in this particular redevelopment area, do you have an opinion as to whether or not the Energy Center development, including the variance or design rates requested, would meet the goal within the redevelopment plan of helping provide long-awaited public access to the river while creating additional recreation and educational opportunities and to stimulate economic investment in the area with a cast of an active recreation component, providing riverfront public access? Does this help facilitate or further that goal?
It does further that goal, and also a couple of additional goals of the EPEC development plan. One is to promote the effective use of redevelopment area, the entire redevelopment area of the property. It will facilitate in creation of a new power generation resource, and it will also provide a unique opportunity to have industrial use while also helping in enhancing the recreational or the public access. That is one of the goals of the
And preserve the environmentally sensitive areas, which is also an objective of the redevelopment plan.
Yes, that's it.
Yes, these are specific goals and objectives that are in the epic redevelopment plan that you're being furthered by allowing this application.
Yes, and that kind of really is into, there is no substantial impact to the zone plan because of all these goals that are being furthered by this proposed application.
Chairman, those are the questions I have for a planner.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I believe we provided the testimony the professionals they had for. I believe we provided the description and the nature and the legal justification for what is being requested. Unless the board has anything further, any specific question, we would put them here.
That's it.
Unless the board has anything further.
Okay,
That's your case?
it's a public hearing.
Yes, hold on. Yes. Is that your case?
That is our case. We have other professionals that can answer the questions if they want.
I have to know, are you finished with your direct testimony or not?
I am finished my hearing.
So we're going to open up to the public now. So
Okay.
Public hearing, anybody else want to speak?
swear testimony you're about to give the board this matter,
Yes.
Give her your name again.
name and address,
Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick today.
your home address, where do you live?
I'd rather give my business address if that's okay.
It's not.
So just to be clear, you're insisting that I give my home address and telling me it's impossible to give a business address even though I'm here on
You can give me
business?
the business address, but I want your home address.
Why do you want my home address?
Because that's what the municipal land use law requires.
It says home address?
It doesn't say home address, it
Okay,
wants to
then I'd
know
like to
whether
give
or
my
not you have
business
an
address,
interest
sir,
in this
because I'm-
property. Don't want to give you your home address, won't be telling us anything. It's very simple.
I must insist on giving my business address. I'm here
No, sir.
in a
No,
business
no.
capacity. I explained my interest in
I
the
want to
project.
know your home address because 4055D-4 requires you to be a person who has a real interest.
We went through this, I explained my
Went
interest.
through
You
this
allowed me
one.
to
You haven't
justify the
followed
last
it.
one.
Despite your high intelligence, you haven't
Getting
followed
late,
my
let's get on
instructions.
here.
So we're going to have your address at home, sir.
I would
And
rather
then you're
not
going
give
to
my
have to tell
home
me how
address.
you're an interested party under the law.
So I'm a United States citizen, a Middlesex County resident. As you mentioned,
Are you
I'm a
gonna tell me
Rutgers
where you live?
alumnus, a
Are you
very
gonna
concerned
tell me where you
citizen, I'm
live?
a candidate for.
Are you going to tell us where you live or not?
I don't think I will tell you my
Okay,
home
then
address. I'll tell you my hometown is New Brunswick. I'm
No,
very
sir.
proud of it. And I am the editor of New Brunswick Today, and I'm here in my capacity as a journalist tonight. We can get mail at P.O. Box 3180, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Everybody tells us their address, that's our protocol. I ask you, please give us your home address, or if there's some reason why you want to hide it.
I'll be honest, I don't want you showing up at my house.
Oh, you can guarantee it.
What's that?
You can guarantee I will not be there.
Okay, good.
I have absolutely no interest in you or going to your house.
That's good to hear.
I'd rather walk over coals, frankly.
Then if you need an
I
address
mean,
to
on fire.
send me mail,
On
you
fire.
can send it to P.O. Box
I will burn my
310.
bottom of my feet rather than go to your house. And such a suggestion is ridiculous. So could you please just give us your address?
P.O. Box 3180, New
It's not
Brunswick,
an
New Jersey, 08903. It is an
The
address.
record should reflect that I have substantial concerns as to your integrity, number one, because you won't tell us where you live, and whether or not you are in fact a party in interest under 4055 D-4 that qualifies you to provide us with information since you're way outside the 200-foot zone. And there are cases that talk about the applicant having no standing to appear, and be heard. And the land use Bible I have in front of me says that the definition notes that it includes any person whether residing within or without the municipality whose right to use, acquire, or enjoy property is or may be affected by any action taken. You, sir, haven't told us where you live.
I live in New Brunswick.
We have,
I live in Middlesex County, I live in this country.
I know you live in this country.
Why must you know my home
But
address,
the
my
fact that
street
you
address?
live in Taiwan doesn't give you the right to come here and testify. We can actually preclude you from testifying if you're from Taiwan.
I assure you I am a New Brunswick resident. I believe you've actually stated that.
So, in such cases, the municipal agency should make inquiry to determine whether an owner beyond 200 feet, which you're well beyond 200 feet, I think, in Brunswick,
That's true.
has a special interest or has rights which will be directly affected by a decision. Such a person would be afforded the same rights as those within 200 feet to present witnesses and evidence and to controvert the witnesses and evidence of the applicant. Hills Development versus Burns Township, 229 J. Super, 318, Development Division, 1988. So really, case law supports our right to determine that information, and you refuse to give it to us.
I've told you my hometown. You've questioned my integrity, but I don't think you've questioned my hometown as New Brunswick, New
Okay,
Jersey.
what else would you like to tell us then?
Well, if I may, I'd like to ask questions about the
Well, we'll see where it goes.
application.
We'll see where it goes. I still don't think you meet the statutory definition of an interested party. But the bend over backwards is now 10:20, which is exactly what I warned you about. Not you, I'm talking to this lawyer, whom I told you never until 10:15. So, what's the board's pleasure? You want to carry this for the purpose of the additional public hearing? Or do you want to continue and stay here? It's not
You
25
gotta
after
do
10.
something, it's 25 after.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So the hydrogen...
It is relevant, right?
Yeah. So I'd like to know about the hydrogen trailer that's proposed and testified to in the previous hearing as to, I didn't catch what it will be used for, just said in the use of the plan. Why is there the need for a hydrogen trailer on this site?
Hydrogen trailer?
That's what I believe was mentioned before.
Does anybody know the answer?
Yeah, the answer is, well, first of all, that's not proposed for this site, that's the last application. But with respect to the answer to your question, is we're generally part of the process.
It's irrelevant to this
It
application.
is not relevant to this application.
Okay, next question.
It was alluded to that there are